Okay, calling our meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Crane?
Here.
Trustee Wigan?
Here.
Trustee Soilu?
Here.
Trustee Bartow? Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Pearson?
Here.
Trustee Anderson?
Here.
Dr. Smith?
Here.
Okay, item 2, before we adopt the agenda, we have a modification to the agenda. Staff requests to pull item 19B16 from the consent calendar with plans to bring it back at a future meeting. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as suggested?
So moved.
All right, Trustee Pearson, do I have a second?
Yes.
Was that Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Trustee Pearson, seconded by Trustee Murphy. Roll call?
Trustee Crane?
Yes?
Trustee Wigan?
Yes.
Trustee Soilu?
Yes.
Trustee Bartow? Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, the vote was 6-0, 1 absent. And do we have any community input for our closed session? All right, as there are none, we will now move to closed session. The items are conference with legal, existing litigation, B, conference with labor negotiator, C, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, employment, number 202402 HR, and D, public employee discipline, dismissal, release. We will return to open session at 6 p.m. Thank you. Call to order. The time is 6 o'clock. In closed session, the Board of Education took action. I know we have a lot of celebrations tonight. All right, in closed session, the Board of Education took action to approve the resignation agreement and general release number 202402 HR. The roll call vote was as follows: 6 yeas and 1 absent. All right, we will now have a moment of reflection and Pledge of Allegiance led by our student board member from Early College High School, Victor Jimenez.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, adoption of minutes. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes of 3/12/24 and 3/22/24?
So moved. Second.
Trustee Wigan moved and Trustee Ersoyo seconded. Roll call, please.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Wigan?
Yes.
Trustee Soilu?
Yes.
Trustee Bartow? Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Right, the vote was 6-0. And we move on next to item 10, recognition. And we have a lot of recognitions tonight. This is going to be wonderful. A is recognition of the 2024 Superintendent's Character Trade Award honorees. Dr. Smith, take it away.
Yeah, I get asked a lot, why are you smiling all the time? Why do you enjoy your job as much as you do? I have 18,000 reasons, and that's the amazing students we have in this district. They're so impressive. We recognize them at every meeting. We're going to do a lot of that tonight, but the students tonight that we're recognizing exemplify character traits that the district identified in 2012 that they wanted to celebrate. These students are nominated by their teachers. Then they have a discussion, and each time they're unanimously picked by that staff. The character traits that they represent are caring, citizenship, courage, fairness, respect, responsibility, and trustworthiness. And each time I get to read their story or bits of it at the school site, I'm just amazed at what they do and who they are and the character traits that they exemplify. So tonight, we're going to recognize them. And our first person up tonight is going to be ASB Director Amanda Boyer. She's going to come up and introduce our first person, and then we'll meet.
Good evening, Board President Crane, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith, cabinet, and guests. I am honored to recognize Samantha Forbath from Newport Harbor High School for the characteristic of caring. As our Associated Student Body President, Sammy leads with empathy, inclusivity, and authenticity. Whether in class or at an event, she actively listens to her peers and exhibits exceptional interpersonal and empathetic skills. Sammy has been a vocal advocate for creating an environment where every student feels valued and heard, regardless of which corner of campus they spend their time. Her ability to connect with people from all walks of life is a testament to her genuine and caring nature. Sammy has a passion for inclusivity and diversity. As Principal Dr. Bolton says, she has taken concrete steps to ensure that Newport Harbor High School is a place where diversity is celebrated. Her leadership in organizing events, workshops, and initiatives aimed at promoting diversity and cultural understanding has had a profound impact on her school community. Sammy's teachers have described her as approachable, compassionate, and always willing to lend a helping hand, with an emotional maturity as a leader that has been evident since she stepped foot on our campus in 9th grade. She successfully navigates a rigorous academic and extracurricular load in high school, as well as the demands of playing varsity soccer. Sammy intends to major in political science at UCLA with a future career as a lawyer in the area of public interest. Congratulations, Sammy.
Congratulations, poli sci. That was my passion.
Oh, really?
Look where I am now.
Good evening, President Crane, members of the board, Dr. Smith, Executive Cabinet, and distinguished guests. Marcelina Sanchez is no stranger to the Board of Education, as she was our school's student board representative in her junior year. Marcelina is our choice for citizenship based on her continual drive to serve her community. Whether as a catechism teacher at a local church, as our vice president of our community service club, or serving as this year's ASB president, she is always looking to give a voice to those in need. In her role with the Community Service Club, our largest club on campus, founded on a partnership between Costa Mesa's Kiwanis Club and the Rotary Club of Newport Beach, she is responsible for organizing fellow students as volunteers for a variety of events. In total, she has compiled more than 250 hours of community service to date. Last year, Marcelina invited Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education, Carrie Torres, to our campus to present her ideas on how to promote the school's visibility, campus atmosphere, and positive school culture. Thanks to Marcelina's research and dedication, a classroom was remodeled into a tutoring study room for students, and a student-designed mural program was created. 2 works of art have already been unveiled, with a third expected to be done on April 13th. Marcelina is moving on as an LA Angels Scholar finalist for one of their 4-year all-expenses-paid college scholarships. Marcelina is a 4-year high school AVID scholar with a weighted GPA over 4.0, where she is on track to earn her IGETC and 2 associate degrees from our partner at Coastline College. Marcelina plans to attend either UC Santa Cruz, UC San Diego, or the University of San Diego, where she currently intends to study biology, human sciences, and child development as she pursues her goal of becoming a pediatrician. I still believe that is her desire after she just completed a 3-day UCI Camp Med experience just this past weekend. So I present before you Marcelina Sanchez.
Good evening, Mike Alt from Estancia. Unfortunately, our student to be recognized wasn't able to make it here this evening, but despite that, I'd like to take a moment to speak a few words about Skylar Ford. Skylar's being recognized for the attribute of courage. And for many of us, when we think about courage, we think about like a single act of bravery often exhibited by a soldier on a battlefield, or perhaps a single act of bravery by a warrior for peace who stands up for injustice. For me, at the high school level, I like to think of courage as being that inner strength that students display when they quietly take on and fight the inner battles which most of their peers know nothing about. And Skylar's that type of individual. He transferred into Estancia as a sophomore. At Estancia, we like to pride ourselves on being a small, close-knit community. But it can be sometimes hard to break into that close-knit community when you suddenly realize that all of your peers have been best friends since kindergarten. And that challenge can be even greater when you're one of just a handful of African Americans. But despite that, Skylar embraced everything about Estancia. He joined our drama program and excelled on the stage. He joined our basketball team and excelled there too. And he's excelled in a rigorous course of study and will soon graduate with a GPA of 4-point-something amazing. But fitting into school isn't the most remarkable thing about Skylar. It's how he's taken on other challenges in his life. Unfortunately for Skylar, his mom was not as successful in winning some of the inner battles that she was struggling with. And Skylar moved around quite a bit as a young man. Eventually, he's found his way to his grandmother, who took him in and has helped him turn out to be the proud, confident, courageous young man that he is today. Skylar will be graduating from Estancia and will soon be heading off and fighting new fights as he studies environmental science at UCI. And we wish him all the best.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Dobbins, and I'm the Activities Director at Corona Del Mar. And I'm here to present the character trait of fairness to Peyton Vovan. Peyton keeps the words of former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt close to her heart. It is not fair to ask of others what you are not willing to do yourself. This is clear in how she treats everyone around her, from fellow students to the community at large. As ASB President, Vovan is well known for ensuring equal representation and listening carefully to her peers. In times of conflict, Peyton can be counted on as a leader to settle things fairly. During ASB discussions, she balances constructive criticism with positives and can redirect those who are not participating fairly. She represents the school's ASB values, listens carefully, and helps convert negative conversations into more inclusive language. Vovan currently represents the CDM high school community as a student board member. She takes the responsibility seriously, reviewing her talking points in the days leading up to meetings to ensure she is acting fairly on behalf of her fellow Sea Kings. Fairness is one of the main traits of a successful leader, and sometimes when you're fair, others might not agree that you're being fair. You have to separate your own biases and thoughts and take yourself out of the situation. Peyton excels at this, and this is one of the reasons why she has blossomed into such an important figure at CDM. I'm very grateful and lucky myself to have spent the last 3 years working with her, and can't wait to see what she accomplishes in the future. Peyton's considering a future in political science and/or finances, and is still mulling her future on what school she's going to go to. Thank you, Peyton.
Good evening. Dr. Potness, principal from Costa Mesa Middle and High School. It's an honor to have Connor Doe stand beside me. Connor is an exceptional student, a leader, and a community builder, and a student that I hold in the highest of regards. Connor embodies the quality of respect. He shows respect by the way he processes information, the way he interacts with all people, and the way that he leads. Connor is the drum major of our marching band, member of our ASB, and is involved in rigorous coursework. He shows respect by understanding that each individual is uniquely themselves and empowers them to love who they are. He leads by example and holds himself to high standards, therefore modeling this to others. And while I want to share a story, it's not necessarily about respect. It's a moment that I had with Connor that he probably doesn't know had significant impact. So on the day of graduation last year, it was my first graduation at Mesa. I had butterflies in my stomach, and I was also probably hungry. I had our office assistant share that Connor wanted to meet with me. With only a little time until graduation, I felt bad because I knew that I couldn't give Connor the time and attention that he deserved in that moment. But he popped in, put my favorite smoothie on the table, and shared that he hoped that it helped me get through my busy day. His attention to detail, his beautiful heart, and his ability to bring people together makes him so deserving of this character award. Connor, the Mesa Nation is so very proud of you. Congrats. As long as I look 5 pounds.
Dr. Smith, President Crane, board members, cabinet, and distinguished guests. Jenny Fernandez's parents were migrant farm workers for most of her life before moving to Costa Mesa. Despite the barriers presented by being an English language learner, education was always a priority for Jenny. Every day, she eagerly showed up for her classes at Back Bay High School, ready to learn. Jenny took the responsibility of making sure to attend all her classes every day while also supporting her older sister in her educational journey. Jenny stayed on top of her studies, checking in with her teachers regularly to ensure she was doing well. She advocated for herself when she needed assistance with schoolwork, even though she often felt shy. Though she had a job outside school and helped take care of her grandparents, she was always organized and never missed an assignment. I know Jenny will be successful in whatever she chooses to do in the future. She's an exemplary example of what responsibility means and a great role model for her peers, school community facilitator Hugo Soloranzo said. Thanks to her hard work and unwavering dedication to education, Jenny graduated from Back Bay a semester early in December. She intends to continue her education at Golden West College or Orange Coast College and hopes to study cosmetology to open her own salon someday. And I can't wait to get my hair cut there because I know it will be an awesome place. Congratulations, Jenny.
Good evening, Superintendent, President Crane, members of the board, and distinguished guests. I'm Raquel Stevens, principal of Monte Vista, and beside me I have a student who is most deserving of the honor of the Superintendent's Character Award for Trustworthiness, Haifa Afridi. Haifa has been with the virtual and independent study programs for 2 years now, doing her junior year with us at Cloud and now her senior year at Monte Vista. The teachers and staff members at Monte Vista who have worked with Haifa recognized her upstanding character and her passion for learning. She shows a thoughtful consideration of humankind. Her English teacher, Ms. Kerrigan, commented on many occasions about these qualities in her work. For example, when asked to write about her ideal utopia, Haifa wrote that free thought, education, environmental awareness, and healthcare for all would be given top priority. She values community and wellness for all. Haifa's teachers consistently report that she is thoughtful, responsible, and thrives in the independent study environment. She has demonstrated trustworthiness and integrity in her schoolwork. She has articulated her views on the importance of academic integrity and the appropriate use of AI in the educational system. She sees a connection between her being an authentic author of her own academic tasks and her future. She takes ownership of her learning and it currently has a 4.1 GPA, taking the most rigorous classes at Monte Vista, including AP Statistics, AP English Literature, AP Government, Cybersecurity, Physics, and Journalism, all independently. Haifa lives with a moral compass and truly cares about those around her. Many of her academic discussions have touched on the concern for the well-being of others. Haifa selected to explore the topic of food insecurity for her senior project. For this project, she researched how food insecurity has impacted our local community here in Newport-Mesa. She ran a food drive this month in an effort to provide those less fortunate with food. She was responsible for all components of the project, from planning and advertising to collecting donations and distribution. Haifa hopes to pursue a career in law. I can't think of a better student for this kind of work. She always carefully measures any topic or issue and considers it from multiple perspectives. She would make an excellent judge, one who is trustworthy. Congratulations, Haifa.
President Crane, if it pleases the board, Skylar Ford is present now, and I was hoping that he might have the opportunity to come forward and have his photo taken with Trustee Ursula.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Do you need all the students to gather outside for a photo? Yep. Okay, now we move on to the recognition of Winter Athletic Sports Champions. Dr. Shaka.
I'll give them just a minute for transition. We have a lot of parents coming in and parents and students coming out, so we'll give them just a moment. Okay, and as we have our next group of parents coming in, President Crane, members of the board, Dr. Smith, Executive Cabinet, and guests. Tonight, we continue to recognize more exceptional students and more exceptional programs. I would like to begin by introducing Principal Mike Holt from Estancia, to share a little bit about our Estancia girls soccer program. Principal Hall.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Shaka. It's been an exciting year at Estancia. It's been an absolute pleasure watching our girls excel in the classroom and on the field. And their accomplishments would not be possible without the support of their parents and without the support of their coach, Josh Juarez. And I'd like to ask Josh to come up and recognize his team. Josh was recently recognized by the Orange County Register as Orange County's Girl Soccer Coach of the Year.
All right. Thank you for having us. This is our girls soccer team here who won our first CIF in our school's, our soccer program's history. And yeah, just a little bit about our team this year. You know, we have a lot of talent in our program. These girls worked very hard to get to a point that we've never been before. We start, you know, in summer, they're out there working hard. In the fall, they're out there training and practicing, and then all the way into, you know, close to March there is a long journey from the beginning to the end. And so these girls have been resilient, have worked hard. There's a lot of sacrifices that come with being a student athlete. I'm sure there's a lot of times where the girls would like to go hang out with some friends after school, or there's school activities going on, and they sacrifice a lot of that stuff to be out there training, to be with each other, to be the best team that they could be this year. And so we, you know, I think that all along we knew we had a lot of talent. We just, you know, for me as a coach, I expressed to them that what's just going to make us a little bit different than the teams in the past? What can we do a little bit more than just being out here and working hard? What were you willing to really sacrifice and or do on the team that beyond just being the best soccer player that you can be? And I think all these girls really stepped up and found other ways to impact the game on the field. You know, we expect the girls to come out and train and be the hardest worker you can to compete to get onto the field, but also, you know, off the field, are you being kind to your teammates? Are you lifting them up when they need? Are you pushing each other? Are you just representing our program in a great way on the games? You know, you're cheering for your teammates. Are you, you know, just all the emotions that come through a season from beginning to end? You know, what could you do to impact the team? And I thought all these ladies did a great job of just finding ways to impact the group, whether it's being a leader to some of the freshmen, whether it's being a leader to some of the sophomores, whether it's just in any way you can to step up for the team. And I thought that's really what separated us, I feel, from maybe the year before, is that we just found ways to be a little bit better, a little bit sharper, and to really grow as a team. And so, again, I commend these girls for all the work they do. For me, I get to be a fan on the sideline. I get to be out there training, doing something that I love to do every day. But just to be out there and get to watch them this year, along with all our parents and so many alumni that came out and watched us play, you know, these girls really put on a show and worked hard, and all their hard work and all their sacrifice really paid off. And so this is our 2024 CIF champion team, the Estancia Girls Soccer Program. Chris. Mr. Halt. Just a little bit. There we go.
I got it. Okay. Everybody look at me. I know there's lots of cameras, but it's all about me right now. Okay.
Congratulations, Coach.
Now we have our second large group coming in and our final transition of the night.
It's like 7 foot.
Okay, and as we bring in our next group, typically I would introduce Dr. Bolton to acknowledge Newport Harbor's boys soccer program. However, both Principal Bolton and Principal Haley at our Newport Beach Valedictorian Awards tonight, so they have other students to acknowledge and honor. This just highlights what we mentioned earlier, that we have so many students that do amazing things in this district that sometimes it's difficult to coordinate recognition of all of them. However, we are going to do our best tonight. Right now, I'd like to hand it over to Justin Schroeder, who's going to introduce our Newport Harbor boys soccer team.
Okay, first and foremost, President Crane and Superintendent Smith and the esteemed board, thank you for recognizing our 2024 CIF Division II Championship Boys Soccer Team. Although I'm not actually their coach, I spent a lot of time at their games, at their practices. I kind of know what how a season feels like, and to kind of get to that pinnacle. If there's one thing I always kind of notice about this team going to their games is I think they really kind of truly loved this year and what they did. Not only were they just tremendous athletes, but they're actually really good human beings. Being on that sideline, seeing just kind of the joy of those games was really great. And then for it to kind of culminate in a championship was even better. I'm really proud of this group. I know the coach is really proud of the group. The Newport Harbor community is extremely proud of you guys, which we definitely saw at the championship game. So again, thanks for having us. Thanks for honoring these boys. They're a great bunch of people, and keep an eye on them for kind of future things.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Look at me. Got it. Thank you. This is for all the parents.
Congratulations. We now move on to Dr. Shaka again and to recognize a secondary student award. And before so, there is a public comment regarding this award. Wendy Lees, if you'd like to come up. No.
Good evening, President Crane, Dr. Smith, members of the board. My name is Wendy Lees, and it's about the Holocaust Award, right? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. So I have, we had a kind of a crisis in 2019. Some of you might not have been here, where we had an incident from some of our students that was very disrespectful and anti-Semitic regarding red cups. You can just Google red cup incidents, Newport Beach. And at that time, we were all concerned, and there was a committee formed to really think about how can we do things differently. And I attended many of those meetings, and then COVID happened. And I think the meetings were online or something, but nevertheless, one of the projects that I started talking about in 2019 is the Chapman University, and it's called the Holocaust. It's a very art and writing contest, and I have the poster from the 20th, which was 2018. Purposeful telling through memory to action. So I was really pleased to find out that we have a recipient of an award who applied. But to go on and let this student who took the challenge and the teacher that supported this student be an example for the Newport-Mesa Unified School District, that studying the Holocaust by listening to the testimonies, which are heartbreaking, of the survivors, and many have been given their stories but now have passed away, but they're recorded by the 1939 Society out of USC. So even though the people aren't still living, the stories are true and accurate. And how important it is that our young people in this community continue to be involved and educated regarding the Holocaust. And so thank you for promoting it. I know Dr. Smith said a few months ago before the deadline, I know Ashley, we were all kind of on board several years ago, but let's keep going. Let's have more entries and more awards. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lees. Dr. Shaka?
And thank you for that great introduction, Wendy. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Martinez to share a little bit about the award and this exciting news from Early College. Dr. Martinez.
Well, good evening once again. It's my privilege to recognize Monique Serbella for her entry. I will say that at Early College, we thread in the Holocaust studies early on this year in all Complet 2 classes. All our sophomores do an assignment, and we study it. We have our students view those videos. And I want to credit the board for supplementing it with our ability to send every single student, teachers to the Los Angeles Museum of Tolerance, which we are sending all of our sophomores this Friday. And I know my sister schools in the district do the same. But it is important to us. It intertwines with world history that our sophomores study, and that's something we have a commitment to. So it's my pleasure that Early College not only had one, but this is our second student that has become a finalist in the last 3 years. So Monique is just a true treasure on our campus. In fact, the third mural we're painting is her mural on the 13th. And you'll see the message of how we are all going to be pieces to a big puzzle in life. So I'd like to bring up Monique. I know she's here with her family, but she can come up, and we'd like to recognize her with a certificate. Grand entry. All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Now we'll move on to student board member reports. Trustee Wygant.
Thank you. This week, the topic is looking around your high school campus, what is one physical update you would make to your school and why? It could be a new gym, paint, fence, fields, etc. What physical update? And then please share 2 campus highlights. And on the dais, we have Victor Jimenez from Early College High School.
Good evening, Superintendent Smith, President Crane, members of the board, and esteemed guests. So this board meeting, we were given the topic, what physical update would you make to your school and why? And so I said that despite Early College having a small campus, we still have a lot of room to grow and implement new installments to create a stronger school altogether. I said that one suggestion that I have heard mentioned by students, which is quite popular, is the idea of a garden on campus. So Early College is a school that has a lot of very self-motivated, driven students pushing themselves to exceed and better themselves over and over again. While this is one of our school's strengths, it also comes with the side effects of stress. Stress is a part of life, but students that work very hard or simply have things going on in their lives can experience stress more intensely as a result of those factors. But having a garden could help kids reduce their stress. According to the National Library of Medicine, quote, there is increasing evidence that gardening provides substantial human health benefits, end quote. They also reported that their studies showed that gardening had more benefits, specifically including, quote, reductions in stress and anxiety, end quote. Although our school has great resources to help with mental health, a garden would simply have a passive effect for every single student, as separate research has also shown that simply spending time with different plants can help reduce stress levels. And although we only had to report on one physical update, I would also like to include one more, just very tiny. Well, we'll see. But I said that a good addition to our school would also be an engineering room, or a room that has special equipment, for example, for our program MESA, or physics students. And I said that despite our success with MESA competitions, I think that because they are constrained to the same room where we teach like physics and AVID, the lack of an engineering room places a limit on how much the class can actually do. And additionally, this room would also be beneficial to more than just our MESA program, as physics students could also use the room to work on their various projects that they have throughout the course of the year. And our physics teacher has expressed intentions of also having his physics class compete in competitions, and one of these types of rooms could help out with that. And so now I will be moving on to our 2 campus highlights. And one event that occurred since the last time I gave a report, it wasn't a very complex event, but it was a huge hit. It was the Pie a Teacher in the Face Day. And just so everyone knows, we all love our teachers at Early College, and this event was simply done to commemorate the national holiday Pie Day. And this event was an ASB fundraiser that gave students of Early College an opportunity to nicely pie a teacher with shaving cream. The teachers were all equipped with the proper gear to participate in the event, including goggles to protect their vision and also trash bags to protect their attire. And students gathered around in the quad area making a circle, very ironically, to see the event play out. Laughter and good times ensued as teachers and also Dr. Martinez sat through waves of pies to support the school. And kids were able to pie teachers and help ASB fundraise future events. The final highlight that we had on campus was our annual Early College High School Carnival. The carnival was bustling with energy as the Saturday was illuminated with the sun and the cheeriness of the people. There were booths of every kind, ranging from the competitive basketball game Pop Shot to ring toss and everything in between. There's even games for little kids like matching ducks. In one corner, we had the most fun station, which in my opinion was the dunk tank. And teachers from the school came by to sit under this dunk tank. I mean, poor teachers from Early College, but they have a lot of dedication to our school. And students attempted to hit the target to dunk the teachers. Once again, Dr. Martinez was also there, and some seniors were there too. And some prospective early college students even got to dunk teachers, Dr. Martinez, and seniors. Apart from all this, we had games and raffles that were held by PTSA, and that added another layer of excitement to our carnival. And apart from all this, we also had live music being played by a variety of early college musicians, such as solo acts, a small rock band featuring different drummers, and a group from our very own college guitar class. For our intermission, the dance class performed a number that was outstanding and left everyone in awe. And of course, all of these events can get a little tiring, so there was a taco truck that we had on site serving savory dishes in case everyone got a little hungry. So all these factors put together helped create another fantastic carnival which ECHS families and community members alike could enjoy. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Victor. Next up, we have Jose Gomez from Estancia High School.
Good evening, board and our wonderful audience. I just want to start off by saying that Estancia is what they call a quote-unquote historic school, which is just a nicer way of saying it's an old school, but you know. Which brings me to my point. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of, say, early college to be like, oh, can we get this new thing? Instead, what I think we could really use architecturally is some upkeep to our roof. Just a few weeks ago, we had a ton of leaks when the rain was just pouring down on us, and all through the halls you could see different buckets and trash bags just picking up all the drippage and leakage. And if you're on the internet, you've probably seen that video of the roof falling down in one of the math classes. It was not a very nice sight. I was in that same hall. So just some upkeep, general upkeep to the school would be absolutely wonderful because we desperately need it. But on a good note, two campus highlights. First would have to be, we just saw it, but our girls soccer team obviously won CIF, and it was very exciting to see that. Everybody was very happy, we celebrated them, congratulated them, I congratulated them, all nice. And then last Friday, which brings me to my next highlight. Last Friday, we had our Morp Dance, which is our more casual version of prom. We had a wonderful pep assembly with our color guard, cheer, ASB. They did a little dance and everything. It was cowboy themed. And then we had our actual dance, which was very fun because not only did we have a DJ, but we actually had a live band, which featured one of our current students, not Sergio Trigo, but we also had another band perform during our pep assembly. So we had two live bands, which is always very exciting. All of them featured at least one student from Estancia. Always a fun time when our dances come around. And that's my report for this month. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jose. Next, we have India Howerton from Costa Mesa High School.
Sorry. My printer was broken, so I'm having to read this off my phone, so my apologies if I stumble at all. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Smith, President Crane, and community members. My name is India Howerton, and I'm speaking on behalf of the students at Costa Mesa High School. Our school campus does have a lot of nice and up-to-date facilities, like our gym, theater, cheer room, pool. We actually do have a garden, which I'm very grateful for. And a lot of other things. However, as with everything, there are always changes and improvements that can be made, and CMHS is no exception to this. Something that can be improved on our campus is definitely the state of our lockers. Although there are several hundred lockers on our school campus, I know only a handful of students that use them. Because the lockers are so dusty and bug-infested, people tend to avoid them. Most people prefer to keep their stuff in their cars or in teacher classrooms. Another problem with the lockers is how faded they are. I think that, for the most part, we have a really aesthetically good-looking school. It's just that, when you see the faded lockers, I don't think that it's doing our campus justice. Our lockers can definitely use a good cleaning and repainting, and I think that that alone would make our campus look and feel a lot better. As for our campus highlights, there's been a lot going on. Our first event was our school musical, The Drowsy Chaperone, this past weekend. Yeah. It was, yeah, Michelle Murphy was there too. We had a lot of people coming out to see the musical, including the Macy's and the Cappies, which are both kind of like high school theater critic programs, and they give students awards and recognition. I think the Macy's even gives out some scholarships, which is pretty cool. We had many students, family members, and teacher supporters to come out and watch. And in my opinion, this musical was the funniest one I'd seen at CMHS in years, and I'm sure that everyone who attended would agree. And I was so proud of everyone in the cast, crew, and pit because they gave it their all and had a really good performance. Another campus highlight is all the activities we've been doing this March. March on our campus is known as Mindful March, so we're doing a lot to spotlight that. We had many different lunchtime activities, our Wellness Wednesdays being just a few. On these Wednesdays, our ASB provided pizza and snacks for students and invited them to make different things. So I have some visual aids for this. 1 week we made vision boards. So this is the one I made. It's for the school camping trip next week. I'll show you guys. And oh, sorry. I'll show you guys as well. But yeah, off topic, I love the school camping trip. Please never get rid of it. And I'm very excited. Another Wednesday, we made friendship bracelets. This is mine. And the last one, we made stress balls, and I was going to bring it, and then it broke, so sorry about that. But yeah, we've had other lunch activities too, like Drama Club had an art week where they bought chalk and clay and other crafts to do in the quad. And there was lunchtime performances from band, choir, and other student groups. And our ASB also did this thing called Cuties for Cuties, where we drew nice messages on like the cutie oranges and we passed them out to students. And I just think that all these lunchtime activities make school a lot more fun and bearable to be at. And it's always a fun surprise to go out at lunch and see a crowd of people making something or handing something out. And I think that it's definitely a fun way to unite our student body. So that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Great reports, and we'll get those to Jeff so he can open up his wallet. Pay for some upgrades. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wygant. We move on to our Harbor Council PTA report. Mr. Loya, please come up. Good evening.
Good evening. President Crane, Superintendent Smith, trustees, cabinet, student school representatives, and distinguished guests. My name is Dennis Loya. I am the VP of Communications for Harbor Council PTA. Reporting with me tonight is Andrea McGarry, our VP of Membership. We recently had our elections, and we have a fantastic incoming board for next year. Martha Fleur will be president. Michelle Bartow will be executive vice president. Julie Link will be vice president of programs and events. Juliet Hoover will be the second vice president of membership. Vicki Waldo, third vice president, legislation and advocacy. And Andrea McGarry, our fourth vice president of communications, and Kirsten Walsh, historian, and Maureen Nishian. I practice that a lot. God, I can't believe I missed her name. Anyway, our annual Honorary Service Awards luncheon. Next month, we are hosting our annual Honorary Service Awards on Monday, May 6th at 11 a.m. at the Avenue of the Arts in Costa Mesa. Our theme this year is we are rolling out the red carpet for our amazing volunteers. We look forward to recognizing our council and unit honorees and having a lot of fun. We dare not share what's in store, but our favorite MC, Jeff Trader, will be busy at work creating extra fun and excitement for all. We look forward to seeing you there. The reception and gallery for the 4th District PTA Reflections is April 27th at Capistrano Unified School District from 12 to 3 p.m. open house. All are welcome to attend. This year, we have 3 Newport-Mesa Unified School District students advance to the California State PTA Reflections level of judging. Isabella Juarez Padilla, Visual Arts from Corona Del Mar. Zar Zubiar, Film and Literature from Costa Mesa. And Nora Magarhi for Photography from Newport Coast. And I'll turn it over to Andrea for the administration dinner.
Perfect. Thank you, Dennis. So last month, we got together in March for 4th District's PTA administration dinner. So 4th District is all of Orange County. So that's over 400 schools, and there's 19 councils. So Harbor Council is just one of those 19. But anyways, we had over 350 people attend this amazing dinner, and there was a few awards that were presented that night. And of the 6 awards, Harbor Council received 1 of them. And so we got this fancy little certificate. We got the Creative Council Membership Award for couple of things. One was for the bell ringing. This is what the certificate looks like. It's very fancy. But we're really proud of that. But we were selected for this prestigious award for creating our monthly membership challenges, supporting all of our PTA units with resources to grow their memberships, providing network opportunities with other PTAs, and celebrating their successes as their memberships grew. Some of the different networking opportunities was we would have them get into groups with other schools. So we had all of our secondary units all meet together so they can chop shop, game shop kind of stuff. And we told them all, bring your flyers, bring your social media, bring what worked, bring what didn't work. Because maybe it didn't work at your school site, but it might work at someone else's. Or someone might take that idea and then do a little twist that could work for their school site. And then we divided up our elementary schools. We originally divided them up by zones because there were so many that came. Our presidents came, they brought their membership chairs. And it was an amazing, amazing workshop opportunity because these schools were all helping each other, and it wasn't my school, your school. It was how do we make all of our schools amazing. They were sharing flyers, and they were following each other now on social media, and then every meeting after that, they were following up with each other. How did that event go? How did this go? And they were just giving each other a wealth of knowledge and ideas, and the biggest thing was the amount of support that everyone was giving each other. And to see those friendships and that support continue to grow. So I had 2 goals this year as the membership chair. One was to increase our membership, which we're about 80% there. So realistically, I don't think we're going to hit it. But you know what? I'm okay with that because we hit my second goal. And that was to build up the fellowship of membership within our school district. And that speaks better volumes than anything else, than any number on any chart. And I love when we see all these other schools helping each other out and those friendships that have now evolved. So as of right now, we have now 20 schools that have made it into our Club 100, which is a thing that I started this year, for schools that have over 100 memberships. A lot of our schools, this is a really hard thing for them to do. But because of the mentoring and the support they got from other schools, a lot of these schools have now finally hit that mark. And so we're going to be doing a lot of celebrating at our May 6th little shindig. So I hope you guys will be able to make it. And for that, I'm going to turn it back over to Dennis.
Great, thank you. And to close out tonight's report, I'd like to share this month's PTA happenings. Our PTAs are showing no signs of slowing down even though it's April. At Wilson PTA, they're having their spring festival, Dia del Niño, which is the Day of the Child celebration. Pomona PTA is having a jogathon on April 4th, Spring Fair on the 19th. At Davis, they're having the family dine out with chow on the 17th, and a 15th anniversary tile wall family painting event, which is April 3rd, 17th, and the 20th. And a talent show for K2 on April 30th and May 1st for 3rd through 6th grades. Newport L, Spring Book Fair, Newport L's Got Talent Show, Yearbook Cover Contest, and Newport Heights, Spring Art Festival, Jogathon, East Bluff PTA, Earth Day Community Service Project, Teacher Appreciation, Adams PTA, Art Masters, School Dance, California PTA, Field Trips for all grades to Seabase, Local Preserves, Tide Pool Experience, and Running Club Ice Cream Party and Kinder Tours. Paularino PTA is having their book fair, field trip, and their field trip to the Aquarium of the Pacific, Segerstrom Center, and Columbia Science Center. Newport Coast PTA, Art Masters, Class Act Family Night Concert, and Sonora PTA, they're having a jogathon and grade level field trips. And this concludes our reporting for tonight. Thank you. Any questions? No? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Millard. Thank you. Now we'll move on to CSEA report. President Amy Ching. Good evening.
Thank you. I just want to say, Harbor Council PTA, I'm very jealous that you're having Jeff MC your event. He is very entertaining. Good evening, President Crane, trustees, Superintendent Smith, cabinet, and guests. CSEA would like to congratulate those who have been recognized tonight. It is wonderful to see so many achievements. And personally, as an employee and a resident here in the community, it makes me very proud to be part of Newport-Mesa. I would like to highlight Hank Wen, who was recognized by this board as Classified Employee of the Year. Hank has also been recognized by the Orange County Department of Education as one of 9 Classified Employees of the Year. As a county winner, he will also have the opportunity to continue on for further recognition through the State Department of Education, with the potential to go national through the federal awards program recognizing inspiring school employees. We wish Hank well, and as he represents our members, the district, and the county. I'd also like to share with you some of our chapter business. Lewis Truxton, our second vice president, has resigned from the district and taken a position as a labor rep with CSEA. Lewis was a lead behavior analyst interventionist before the district, and we thank him for his service. At our chapter meeting on Thursday, we will be voting in a new second vice president for the remainder of the term. We will also be confirming conference delegates for the upcoming annual CSEA conference that will be held in Sacramento this year. Chapter 18 strives to send as many delegates as possible to represent our members and support their needs. Lastly, we have negotiations prep day this Friday, and as of today, thanks to Leona and her team, we have confirmed negotiation dates with the district. We look forward to continuing to do the good work for students, staff, and the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is NMFT President Rhonda Reed.
Good evening, President Crane, trustees, Superintendent Smith, cabinet, and guests here tonight. The last time I spoke here, I informed all of you about a retirement workshop presented by CalSTRS, CalRTA, and NMFT Retired. Some of you have been to our office. Wes has, Leona has. So 59 people showed up. They were packed into our meeting room. It was a little more cozy with your neighbor. As I was listening to the speakers, I could hear people say things like, oh, I wish I knew that earlier, or, oh, it's too late now. So I'm hoping when we have this workshop again, we can entice some of the newer teachers that are early in their career to get this information so they're better prepared for retirement. We have received many, many applications for the 2024-25 site and district Teachers of the Year. The reading and scoring is taking place this week. The classroom observation, which is always the funnest part, and interviews will take place the week after our spring break, and we will be really excited to celebrate our educators and new Teacher of the Year's awardees in May. We are sunshining our negotiation proposal and submitted our document to Leona Olson last week. Our negotiation team is looking forward to collaborating with the district's team and continue to enhance working conditions, salary, benefits, among other things for our educators. You know, I know that I truly believe we have the highest quality educators and public schools in all of Orange County. Our community and students deserve for our district to ensure that we continue to attract and retain the best educators to maintain the highest quality of education we offer. In order to guarantee this happens, I strongly believe our educators deserve to be number one in every category, including salaries. We look forward to meeting with the district's leadership and discussing how to improve upon the learning environment for both educators and students. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on to community input for non-agendized items. Trustee Ersoylu?
This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items not on the regular meeting agenda. Comments on non-agenda topics are limited to 3 minutes per comment, up to 20 minutes per topic. A speaker may not relinquish his/her time to another person. By order of the Brown Act, Section 54954.2, the board will take no action nor have any discussion on non-agendized items. The superintendent may provide clarification during superintendent's comments.
Thank you. I'd like to call Adna Bentley to the podium. And next would be Ann Terry.
Good evening, Dr. Smith, Mrs. Crane, and all the board members and audience here, guests. My name is Adna Bentley. I am a behavior interventionist for Newport-Mesa, and currently I work for Kaiser Elementary School District as a BI in the classroom. The reason why I'm here is first to thank you, the school district and the union, for giving me the opportunity to attend the paraprofessional conference educator this year. There was organized and was performed at the Ontario Convention Center. It was 4 participants from Newport-Mesa School District. So I would like to say thank you. After 14 years dedicating my life in Newport-Mesa, I was really happy and honored to be part of that. The conference was a great experience for all of us. We were able to learn with many knowledgeable presenters. Through those presentations, we're given strategies and tools that will be used to improve our performance and roles as paraeducators. The conference also gave me the opportunity to share my experience with many other professionals and listen to their experience as well. It was tremendously impactful to be around thousands of professionals that share the same passion that I have. The Special Education Department is continuously working towards inclusion. In one of the classes that I attended, I was able to learn great strategies to use to support my students during the times they are interacting with other peers during the educational and social opportunities. We were able to take classes that taught us how to include play-based teaching strategies to promote learning. We also had the opportunity to attend classes that will be helpful to create a more positive environment inside the school. Since like COVID, we know that mental health has a significant impact in all of the employees. Have you ever thought about how fundamental contribution as peer educator is for our students? As a behavior interventionist, I have the opportunity to directly impact their students' lives, and I do that in a very positive way. During the lunch, science, the inclusion classes, special ed services. Acquiring this knowledge is very important in what we do on a daily basis. From more than 1,300 employees and peer educators that was presented at the convention center, only 4 were from Newport-Mesa. So I come here to ask, please give us the opportunity to increase, to learn a little bit more so we can help our students better. So I counted that, like maybe we have the 50 staff that Corona sent with them this year. I thank for the opportunity.
Thank you. Ann Terry, and after Ann, it's Chris Zebarth.
Greetings, esteemed board members, Dr. Smith, and our distinguished guests. This week has been a difficult week. We lost a beloved colleague, and it's been very difficult. First, let me say I'm so thankful for the support that you have shown us at College Park. We have come together like a family. We are a family. This is not the first time that I've heard the term family used in Newport-Mesa School District. The family comes up frequently, whether it's in groups like our LMI group, whether it's through the district office, whether it's on individual campuses, parents, teachers, or the 18,000 students that we serve. But with any family, there can be strife. Also, with family, there's resolution, understanding, caring, and support. This past week has been proven to me that sometimes we find ourselves at a footbridge, not knowing what is on the other side, and what awaits can be very daunting. Sometimes we're afraid to take the first step. In regards to the CSAP program, the classified staff members are eagerly awaiting the chance and the opportunity to meet you with us and as a family cross it together. To show support for us and unity for all the classified staff and for the classified staff to be proud members of Newport-Mesa Unified School District, to be part of our family. I thank you for all your time, support, not only with the CSAP issue, but with the understanding and love that you have bestowed on us, on your employees this week. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Chris Zebarth.
Thank you. Well said, everyone. Good evening, Superintendent Smith, members of the board, student board members. Very well spoken, by the way, both of you. Future board members, I take it. Fellow colleagues and community members. My name is Chris Zebarth, and I'm currently teaching art, music, and gardening to the amazing students at Back Bay High School. My 2 children attend schools in district, and I'm married to a one-on-one instructional aide. I'm here for 2 reasons. First, to encourage you to implement the Classified School Employee Summer Assistance Program. This is a program where classified employees may opt into a matched contribution fund paid for by the state of California. Second, I'm pleased to extol the virtues of the classified employees of NMUSD that I've had the pleasure of working with these last 8 years. On any given day, I know my fellow campus safety facilitators, administrative assistants, custodians, special education aides, maintenance and operations, bus drivers, behavioral interventionists, community facilitators, IT, registrars, or attendance techs. They are all going above and beyond to create a safe and productive learning environment for our children's growth and development. And I'm sorry if I left out some job titles there. I also want to give an especially loud shout out to our part-time classified staff and remind us all the schools could not operate without them. For those, full-time is not an option, and finding a summer job is difficult. Even with the extra work, summers still remain a financial challenge, a sentiment echoed by many of the classified colleagues I've discussed this issue with. Either way, I implore you on behalf of these dedicated individuals to seriously consider opting in to the Classified School Employee Summer Assistance Program. It would be a huge step toward easing the financial strain faced by those who are drawn to this profession for the love of working with children and in the community, not for the paycheck. To Dr. Smith, I acknowledge that administrative considerations may be a stumbling block in this decision. However, I urge you to reflect on the value that each of our classified employees brings to our district. How much would it actually cost to implement this program when it is the state of California that matches employee contributions, not the district? What price can we place on their dedication, their expertise, and their unwavering commitment to our students' safety and well-being? Once again, thank you for listening, and we ask for action to be taken. Your decision has the power to positively impact the lives of thousands within our district. Let us seize this opportunity to demonstrate our unwavering support for the wonderful classified employees who form the backbone of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Amanda Boyer, and after is Matt Burns and Jason.
Good evening once again, Board President Crane, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith, cabinet, and guests. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. As the head field hockey coach and activities director at Newport Harbor, I'm here to address our pressing concerns regarding our athletic programs, particularly in the realm of field hockey. The condition of our grass fields presents a significant obstacle to the development and success of our field hockey program. The poor quality and unevenness of the surface drastically alters the dynamics of the game, affecting ball speed, direction, and trajectory. The presence of divots poses a serious safety hazard, leading to unpredictable ball behavior and potentially dangerous scenarios for our players. Due to these limitations, we cannot use grass fields for practice and only have limited access to the turf field during our season of sport. In the fall, Davidson Field is host to home games for field hockey, flag football, and CDM football. In our attempts to adapt during busy weeks, such as scheduling early morning practices instead, we encroach on other programs such as the marching band. Not only is it difficult to get practice time during our season of sport, it is nearly impossible to practice adequately in the off-season. It is evident that the need for additional turf facilities is not a new issue, but one that has persisted for years and now demands urgent attention. Our athletic programs have consistently demonstrated excellence and pride, yet are undeniably constrained by the lack of adequate practice space. We could unlock even greater potential and achievements for our student athletes with additional turf fields. We must prioritize the safety and development of our student athletes and uphold the standards of excellence and success that Newport Harbor is known for. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Matt Burns, followed by, I apologize, it's Justin and not Jason, Schrader. Schroeder.
Good evening, Superintendent Smith, President Crane, and distinguished board. Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. My name is Matt Burns. I'm the head football coach at Newport Harbor. I'm here with Coach Boyer and Coach Schroeder, as well as a few other coaches here representing all of our athletic programs here at Newport Harbor. We are requesting that the district upgrade our practice facilities to artificial turf. We're requesting this for multiple reasons for the benefit of all the programs at NHHS. I've been a longtime member of NMUSD, from a player to a coach going on 3 decades. I've been witness to the need to upgrade the practice facilities for several years. In 2010, funding and resources were available via booster programs. NHHS was told turf cannot be put in due to inequity from site to site. This is no longer the case now that CDM has artificial turf for multiple practice areas on their campus. We're not here to rehash the past, but to ask that we put all the student athletes on surfaces that are safe. Every athlete in Newport-Mesa deserves equal means to successful advancement in their sports. Currently, the fields at NHHS are outdated. They have not been graded in approximately 15 years. There are many depressions and holes, which can lead to injury. Research shows running on soft surfaces can lead to injuries such as twisted ankles and knees due to irregularities, of the ground or on the ground, and the runners attempting to compensate for that. All student athletes deserve playing surfaces that give them the best chance of success. NHHS has significantly higher enrollment compared to the sister schools in the district, but the least amount of field space. A little more than half our enrollment are student athletes, and of those 1,200, roughly 63% of them are members of field sports, sharing only 2 fields. NHHS coaches and admin have worked hard to combat this problem, but it continues to be put our student athletes at a disadvantage. For example, 2 years ago, we tried to accommodate all our programs by starting football practice at 5:30. This proved to be more of a disservice to our students than a solution. Kids were not getting home till 8 o'clock, refueling and studying, forced to push that late into the night. This schedule is not conducive to a successful student athlete. Installing artificial turf alleviates this problem, giving all sports multiple safe areas to practice. As many of you know, the NHHS girls flag football team won the national championship in 2023 in its inaugural year. It will be impossible for any NHHS field sport, regardless of season, to maintain this level of achievement without additional safe and equal practice areas. If Davidson Field remains the only usable area for both games and practice, every field sport will remain negatively impacted. Having other safe practice areas will allow all of our sports equal and adequate time on practice surfaces conducive to developing successful student athletes. To put it in perspective, last year we had freshman football on one half of our field.
You reached your limit of 3 minutes. All right. Next is Justin Schrader.
Hello again. President Crane, Superintendent Smith, members of the board, and esteemed guests. First, I wanted to thank the board and the district for hearing our concerns. I think I can speak for Newport Harbor Athletics as a whole. We feel we're very supported by the school board and the district. We fully acknowledge the dedication of Newport Harbor and Newport-Mesa Unified Schools, and appreciate all things that you have done and will do on our behalf. Please know that these are concerns and not complaints. The main issue. By the winter season, the field is almost 100% unusable and unsafe. To combat these issues, boys and girls soccer, roughly 150 athletes, are sent off campus during the school day to Harper to practice. They aren't the only ones that have had to do this. Lacrosse teams in the past have had to go on Back Bay and Lindbergh to practice until it was deemed unsafe to practice at those places. During the winter, those leaving campus are generally our Frost-Off and JV players, which are comprised of younger players. Most can't drive themselves. They hop on their e-bikes, which are dangerous in themselves, or create carpools. These two situations create a safety and liability factor when leaving campus during the school day. Not to mention, being at Harper creates many logistical issues like restroom use. Harper is also not in great condition, but it's in better shape than what we currently have. We have not used this field in 6 years to play any games on. Instead, we stat games on the turf, which gets students home much later at night. We have practices at 6:30 in the morning. I don't know about you guys, if you've ever coached girls at 6:30 in the morning, there's not a lot of smiling faces. There are no lights on this field. When it's usable, usually only about half of it is, if it is. We better hope there isn't rain. It will shut down the entire field for multiple days. The mud on that field can really make it an unsafe surface. 3 years ago, we had a girl walking out to practice, not practicing, not doing anything athletic, walking out to practice through the gates, slip in the mud and tear her ACL, and was out for 2 years soccer season, which is generally now why I wait multiple days to let anybody on that field. I'm aware this upgrade is in the master plan, but the timing for it is pretty far off from our immediate needs. In the end, we just want our kids on campus. We want to provide a safe environment to practice and play on. We want to provide a facility with the slightest amount we want to provide a facility where the slightest amount of weather wouldn't close it or make it unsafe to play. We don't want to send our athletes off campus, which we are currently doing. So it's kind of just that simple. I appreciate your guys' time. Again, these are our concerns, and thank you very much for everything you guys have done. Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to superintendent comments.
I want to start by thanking our student board members, their comments about the projects that Assistant Superintendent Trader now has on his list. The good news is he's had those on his list. The rain certainly identified some areas that we have to address, and I want to thank our classified staff, by the way, for during the worst of the storms, mobilizing at all hours, being around the district, making sure that the environments were safe, albeit not completely dry. But this is a priority for us. Every single square foot of this district indoors should be dry, regardless of the storm. And we'll hit on this several times tonight, but that's one of the benefits of a facilities master plan that articulates those types of improvements and really qualify them as one of those primary safety concerns. We can't have roofs falling in classrooms, right, to the student's point. The locker room, or not the locker room, but the locker issue, I'm sad India left. She's one of our student truth tellers, certainly a student board member, but beyond that, she steps up, and I'm always wondering, all right, where's India going with this one? Make sure that we take care of the bugs in the lockers, but more importantly, that the look is taken care of. And if the schools aren't going to use lockers, probably no reason to modernize or renovate them. So part of a comprehensive plan. Really appreciated the input on CSEA and the conference that employees went to. No greater investment really than in capacity building, and this district has really prioritized that for classified, certificated management staff alike. Be curious to hear more from CSEA leadership about this conference. It's not a conference that I know a lot about, but was really happy to hear that. I did want to say, too, that I was really impressed by our family, as it was stated at College Park. The way folks showed up that morning and had an option to not stay, quite honestly, and face what was a difficult task. They went right from hearing about the loss to flag deck with a ton of excited students and excited parents. And it would have been totally understandable for folks to say, you know, I just can't do both. I can't embrace what I just heard and also embrace my students with a smile. And you know what? They did. They stayed. They wore sunglasses, but it was sunny, so it didn't look odd. Perhaps in the classroom a little less, right, normal, but they showed up. They did their job. They supported our students, and they did so again on Monday. And so I just want to thank College Park for their courage. With regard to the CSAP, Amy mentioned today that we have some dates, and so I'm excited for that conversation. I'm glad we have some dates so we can start to have those conversations officially. And then as it relates to our facilities, in particular our athletic fields, currently the board doesn't, right now, the district doesn't have a standard of artificial turf for practice fields. That being said, the good news is the district has a significant commitment to concerns around safety. And I would point to even this year and what happened with the baseball diamond at the same school that addressed us tonight. While they had advocated for turf baseball diamonds as well, the staff was able to get out there, grade the entire outfield, make it what is now a safe athletic environment. I know the team is right now looking at what needs to be done to make sure that, at a minimum, that our facilities are safe. I walked that field last week with Dr. Bolton. I then went to Costa Mesa and walked theirs. And it's a priority for us. Good news is, I said we'd bring this up a couple of times tonight, if only a couple. The facilities master plan does address it. The board will have a chance, if they receive that tonight, I don't want to assume they will, but if they do, they'll have a chance at future board meetings to prioritize projects, to sequence how we do this work, and evaluate certainly safety. As I mentioned earlier, safety in the classroom, safety throughout our campuses, that also includes our athletic fields. We look forward to that conversation, but know this, any concerns about safety will be addressed by this staff immediately. That's what happened last time, that's what will happen every time. We might debate artificial turf and all of that at some point. We'll do so friendly or in a friendly manner, but we certainly will not debate the need to be safe, and we'll take every precaution to do just that. And that's it.
Thank you. We now move on to community input on agendized items.
This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items on the regular meeting agenda. Comments on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per comment, up to 20 minutes per topic. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another person. Speaker cards for items on the discussion action calendar may be held until that item is considered by the board if the speaker prefers.
Okay, so we do have a speaker, Adam Talevas, and it's on item 21A. Do you want to go now, or do you want to wait till the item? Okay. You have 3 minutes.
All right. Good evening, Board President Crane, Superintendent Smith, and the whole board. I am Adam Tayabas, the Costa Mesa representative in the Office of Orange County Supervisor Katrina Foley. Supervisor Foley strongly supports the approval of item 21A, the proposed plan to expand Costa Mesa High School's athletic facilities at the sports complex. As the former foundation president and football booster president, Supervisor Foley thanks the board and Trustee Murphy for carrying the torch to prioritize this initiative for a project that has started nearly 15 years ago. Student athletes and supporters, home or visitor, will greatly benefit from the expanded and improved facilities. Again, Supervisor Foley thanks you all for this consideration and looks forward to the grand opening of the new facilities in the near future. Go Mustangs.
Thank you. We now move on to achievement and the report on AVID. Assistant Superintendent Shields.
Thank you. We will hear tonight about AVID, and I know that the board has heard presentations on AVID before, and one of the things, as you'll hear tonight, and I don't want to steal too much of the thunder because it's a beautiful, brief, and concise presentation on the future of AVID and where we're going, not only the impact it's had, but really the growth opportunities for us in the future for some of our younger students and other campuses. I think we need the screen down.
So board members, the screen, we had a malfunction, so it's not working, the one that's closest to us, so we will need to, I'm not sure, we do have the handout, but if you feel so compelled to look at the screen, you may move around and get a better vantage point.
Good evening, President Crane, Dr. Smith, members of the board, Executive Cabinet. Thank you for allowing Ms. Gailey and I to take the opportunity to share a little bit more about our AVID program. As Socorro shared with you, we're excited about sharing some of the opportunities that are coming the way of some of our younger students, and to also just provide some more background in terms of what the AVID program entails. So just to review, and some of this information is we've shared with you before, AVID is a research-based college and career readiness program for TK-12 students. It has a long history and decades of success for helping students become college eligible and actually persist through college, which we'll show you a little bit more about later. It does so by equipping teachers and students with highly effective strategies, and the focus is on deep and rigorous learning. And it really is intended to layer on to the current instructional program. Really the focus, and you'll hear the word rigor multiple times this evening, is on developing strong learners in high-stress environments.
Good evening. I'm pleased to join Keith tonight. You know, he wears a secondary hat, and I'm here sort of as an elementary liaison, but really what we represent together is a TK-12 system. And that's really what we want to lean into this evening, is thinking about systems of learning. And so one example of that is through this acronym WICR, which stands for Writing, Inquiry, Collaboration, Organization, and Reading. And wouldn't it be great if all of our kids left school with all of those skills intact? So what we want this visual to represent is really an articulated ladder and a consistent experience that we're planning for kids from the TK level all the way through the 12th grade level as we think about an AVID continuum. And really what we're thinking about is something that parents and families have asked for throughout many years of local control and accountability plan input, which is thinking about consistency. Thinking about that kind of consistency that could be grade level to grade level, classroom to classroom, and throughout our school system amongst subject areas. So you know me as an LCAP coordinator and coordinating school plans and district plans, and I'm excited to express just sort of that that planning and the input gathering that we've done. And really what we're thinking about is looking at a system that gets increasingly complex but leans into familiar routines. Now, I'm not just a plan person. I also used to be a teacher. I taught English and I taught reading, but I also was an AVID teacher. And so I was able to live truly AVID then, maybe 2004. But it's changed over time. So hearkening back to some of the things that people knew about AVID from many years of experience is this thing where we really emphasize students who are in the middle, who may have been in the mushy middle and forgotten a little bit and needed a little extra push. Thinking about AVID as an elective, and just an elective, but it's something that kids could opt into. And it was really good teaching strategies, solid teaching strategies. And of course, it was really thought about as a program to provide opportunities and thinking about that first generation of college-going students. And that was a great foundation and a real need. And so AVID now is that and more. It really is thinking about systems of learning and trying to be thoughtful about an articulated pathway. It's a school-wide approach, and that is really in the best senses of the word. It is, again, leaning into this idea of writing and inquiry, collaboration, organization, and rigor, thinking about that academic skill building, and of course, thinking also about creating some elementary options which did not exist in the past. So what's the same? There's still electives, there are still tutorials, there's still this higher level of questioning that we teach students to think about. There's still grade checks and field trips and all of the other things that you think about that are true assets of AVID that we wouldn't want kids to do without. But really what we're thinking about is over time, this goal of grit and tenacity and persistence and cultivating that in our students and doing that in a really systematic way. And so we really want to think about this layered framework, but ultimately what we're trying to do is build students who are ready for the high stress of higher level classes as well as college and really thinking about being able to cope with college-like demands.
So as we talk about systems of learning, it's important to note that AVID at the elementary level looks different than AVID at the secondary level. So at the elementary level, it is exploring that WICR, the writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading, and it's done by embedding that into the regular curriculum. So it's integrating the great AVID strategies and WICR strategies into the current curriculum that our students already have access to. But it also focuses upon what we call the essential academic skills. Those are the tools that kids learn to become learners. So note-taking, reading, studying, writing, collaborating, all of those pieces that are going to be those lifelong learning skills that we teach explicitly. And of course, the AVID program always wants to foster an excitement about college. So all of those school-wide systems, that notion of building coherence and alignment through our schools and through our grade levels starts in the elementary level and then can continue in a couple of different ways at the secondary level. So one of the ways, and the classic ways that AVID started out with, was in the AVID elective class. So for students that choose to take that class, all of the work that we do in building those essential academic skills occurs during that class period. Additionally, those students have access to weekly college-style tutorials. They're giving presentations, they're taking field trips to colleges, and have an opportunity to meet with guest speakers. In the same way that the school was seeking to build an aligned pathway in their systems of learning, At the secondary level, when schools choose to take on a secondary school-wide focus, they are again utilizing those same systems of learning, and we'll kind of walk you through what that looks like at multiple levels in just a minute, in all content areas. And the focus is on increasing the rigor of instruction, which we will touch upon. So how do they do it? When a school chooses to embark on an AVID journey, they approach the work through 4 lenses, and that's instruction, systems, leadership, and culture. Really, the aim is to align the instruction, to align the systems, and kind of analyze how leadership can help support that, and then also paying mind to the fact that a strong student and staff culture helps cultivate all of that. It is important to note that in this context, leadership is both in reference to staff and to students.
So there are binders full of strategies that articulate up pathways, but we're going to give you one example of what does it look like. And so one example is this wicker strategy of philosophical chairs, and think about it like a safe space to prepare for debate. And if you know middle and high schoolers, you know that there's nothing like a good debate that a kid will look forward to, but the littles do as well. And so in thinking about what could it look like in transitional kindergarten, the philosophical chairs really leans into formulating some arguments built on some understanding, and then having this ability to speak and to speak academically. So you have an essential question, and then you have some aligned approaches, and then over time, students build on that familiar type of strategy, but get increasingly complex. So we have a TK example with an essential question like, is it important to share with others? And that could be important over all of the grade levels. And then thinking about some aligned approaches, thinking about the books that you would use or the visuals that you might use, and then giving students a sentence frame if they need it to rely on and increase their academic vocabulary. So in this example, I think something because. And then with the 6th grade, another example of an essential question, different topic, but the idea that we're giving them something to chew on, and then thinking again about reading grade level appropriate primary texts, looking at artifacts, thinking about different kinds of texts to rely on, then thinking about increasing the level of rigor by anticipating arguments and counter arguments, and then thinking again about what kind of academic frames to level up that language. And then again thinking about, as a 12th grade example, another increasingly complex question, and then increasingly complex reading material, as well as thinking about bias in their claims and thinking about identifying logical fallacies, and then again, increasingly complex academic scaffolds if they need them to really work on having a varied vocabulary. So current AVID schools, right now we have 1 elementary and we have middle and high school experiences. So we have a Newport Harbor, a Costa Mesa, and an Estancia High School example, and then geographically within the Estancia area, though not within the zone. Early college also has a strong program, as we all know. And then of course the middle schools and Ray. And very excitingly, we're looking at some exploration at the elementary level. And so we have Whittier, Killybrook, Pomona, Wilson, and Newport Coast, all interested in participating and really growing this opportunity. And so we're looking to really partner with them and support what that will look like as they grow their programs.
So as we have provided that opportunity for schools to investigate how AVID could play a positive effect on their campus, this spring, both teachers and administrators have had an opportunity to visit AVID schools all around Southern California to get a sense of what does it look like. And the schools that host showcase visits, as they're referred to, are places that have implemented AVID at the very highest level. And so teachers and administrators are able to go interact with students and with teachers and with other administrators to ask questions and see about how they've embedded all of the work that we've described to you this evening into their school. Additionally, with that, on top of the schools that are exploring AVID, in addition to that, our secondary schools have also been provided an opportunity to do learning in the same way, which has really expanded their understanding of the program and provided a lot of motivation and excitement around building forward with that program. So at each of these presentations, we like to come to you with data. Last month, I stood before you and shared with you all sorts of different data, including some data regarding our AVID students. Tonight, we are going to show you nationally what the data says about those students that are in AVID programs. So this is literally thousands upon thousands of students that are AVID seniors that are leaving high school. Of those students, 94% of them complete four-year college entrance requirements. Then 90% who apply are accepted into four-year universities directly out of high school. And those that enroll, and this is the important part, many times we hear from students that get into college, but persisting through college is difficult. AVID seniors who enroll in college persist at a rate of 84% into their second year, and that's pretty incredible. So with that, Vanessa's going to talk to you about a little bit about next steps.
AVID Summer Institute. It's one of the highlights of the AVID experience. It's a place to really go and be rejuvenated, and we are really excited to be taking over 150 teachers, administrators, and counselors to this experience. And they're going to either the San Diego Summer Institute or the Anaheim Summer Institute. In addition to going to Summer Institute and getting refreshed and rejuvenated, we'll provide some training and planning time both at Summer Institute and here back at home. We're also going to be learning from one another and thinking about how we're going to grow together, especially as we learn from Ray's experience and the guidance of Dr. Lori Hogard, but then also thinking about how other schools in their inception will need to partner together. So they'll be learning from one another. They'll also be thinking about just what they're going to start with, which area of Wicker they might really want to focus on, so start small but be strong. Excuse me. And just as a reminder, the Wicker strategies are meant to enhance and support the existing curriculum. So it's not really another thing. It's about being consistent and about articulating up through the grade levels. And then lastly, just taking it slowly and mindfully, just knowing that it's about school culture and it's about building all of our visions for students to be college and career persistent and successful. And so we want to let the schools take the lead on which aspects of Wicker they want to lead with, but we also want to be supportive and give them the space and the time to really cultivate their curiosity and to build this framework together. And finally, we want to leave you with a great message of hope. So we know we're at the 11th minute, but...
About a year ago, I stood before you with a similar AVID update, and at that time you met one of our then seniors from early college high school, Sarita Plata. If you recall her story, she was a Ray student, then a T. Winkle student, and then an early college student, and she shared with you all that she was headed off to Harvard as a first-generation college student and was going to embark on that journey. We checked in with Sarita, and she just happened to actually today send a message to Dr. Martinez about an update on how she's doing. So I'm going to read just a short bit of some of the message that she sent as a kind of an update on her journey. She says, being at Harvard has been a learning experience academically and socially. I'm pursuing a double concentration in government and sociology with a secondary in ethnicity, migration, and rights. While the texts I use in my class may be challenging, my preparation of reading and analytical skills are critical in getting through these readings. I know many of my friends who are also in the social sciences who still struggle with reading and writing at this level. They have to relearn how to read. One of my friends consistently asks for tips on how to complete the readings. I never realized how the AVID reading skills would be so helpful until I arrived at Harvard. While I still had to adapt to reading difficult texts, it was an easier transition because of AVID. Socially, I've enjoyed making friends from different backgrounds. There are so many people from various parts of the United States and many international students. It creates a fabric of Harvard. I love going to the first-year dining hall to make new connections and learn from individuals and new backgrounds. So it's a wonderful story and a wonderful update about a wonderful student. We thank you for your time this evening and are happy to take any questions about the AVID program. Thank you.
Trustee Murphy.
It's not really, well, it's sort of a question. I mean, I'm sure you have a plan for it, but I love AVID, so thank you for the update. I'm a huge fan. I know how impactful it can be on our students, so I'm so glad to see that we're thinking about expanding it. I guess it's sort of two questions. One, I know the concern has been, hiring and training staff at sort of the pace or the rate that we would like to have that happen. So I know you don't have all the answers, but what's our thinking on that now? And then I also had a couple of parents recently reach out to me about AVID for their special needs students, and I mean, I guess it's all, individually based, but do you have any thoughts on it being the right spot, the right place for students with special needs?
Absolutely. I'll answer the first question, and then I'll address that. So in terms of the training, when Vanessa refers to the Sumner Institute, that's kind of the initial launch into the pool. And so we have over 150 teachers and administrators going and attending this training. And really the training is built around all of those kind of wonderful teaching and learning strategies and building those systems through the school. So they're going to get a lot of training over the summer.
It's going to be for new teachers too who have not done AVID before.
That's correct.
Okay.
So teachers that are existing on the site and teachers that are newer to the site would have opportunity to attend all of that, and then we continue to train throughout the year. So.
Any ideas on how to get more AVID teachers?
Well, remember that quite a bit of the expansion we're referring to right now is about elementary AVID, which is a school-wide approach. So there's no new teachers needed for that, and you can speak to the staffing at secondary.
So at the staffing at the secondary level, we really we lean upon our principals to kind of help guide, the teachers that are teaching the AVID elective classes. But what we like to say is that when done well, all teachers on a campus could be an AVID teacher. Really, because what you're doing is you're infusing all of the deep learning, rigorous instructional strategies into all of the content areas. So even though you may not necessarily be teaching the elective class, you are teaching quote unquote AVID and the systems through all of the classes that you're teaching during the day. So the examples that Vanessa gave earlier of the 6th grade classroom or the 12th grade classroom, those wouldn't necessarily be AVID classes. Those are just classes utilizing an AVID strategy. As to the question about how it could, really support students with special needs, there's really an inclusive focus with AVID, recognizing that if we provide, strong teaching strategies and strong scaffolds for students, that all students should be able to kind of increase the level of rigor and increase the deep learning opportunities that they would have. And so I've seen in classrooms that are co-taught classrooms with students with special needs and general education students utilizing AVID strategies by an AVID trained teacher. And it's hard to even be able to tell which are the students that may have an IEP and which ones don't, because we've integrated that, and that's the systems approach, that's the culture that we talk about in implementing AVID.
Thank you.
Trustee Ersoidel?
Yeah, thank you. Following up on Trustee Murphy's question, so can you tell a little more what it would look like to get all of the secondary teachers that we would need to fully have it be a culture across all the classes beyond just the elective itself? Are they incentivized? Are they required? What does that look like, and how can we scale it to get full coverage?
Yeah, great question. So really, it's kind of a built-in incentive. I think when people realize the value in aligning the work that they're doing on campus, it becomes a case where teachers don't have to reteach how to take notes or how to organize their essay or how to break down text or how to write something. And so teachers really see the value in having that connected system of learning. And so right now we are in the process of training more and more teachers so that we can build that connected system of learning, so that a student that is at Ray Elementary is learning to read and write and take notes in the same way that they're going to see it when they get to middle school, and then they will get to high school. And obviously that's just one pathway. And so right now we haven't necessarily said that it's required to attend AVID training, but the teachers are asking us if they can go. It's not necessarily kind of the inverse right now.
Okay, so for our secondary teacher population, what % of them have gone through this AVID training?
I don't want to give you a percentage and be wrong about it. I can get you that information, but there are a significant number of teachers at each of our sites that have either been trained or are going to be trained, and then we are going to continue to offer training. And so it's really a focus. You saw the slide that talked about AVID school-wide versus the AVID elective class. Some of our programs historically have been more focused in on that AVID elective class, and that's been the hallmark of the AVID program, and that is a great place to be. A lot of our schools have a really rich history in that. Transitioning that to kind of looking at it school-wide is something for some schools that they're just now investing in. So when the superintendent and when the board talks about alignment and having consistency across our schools and across departments and across grade spans, this is an opportunity to do that work.
I also, sorry. I was just going to share also that, like, as schools go through WASC, and we've had to go through, like, a message that always comes through at WASC is rigor, is consistency, is access for all students. So a lot of sites come to the answer on their own, versus, so it's that top-down and bottom-up approach to kind of get people invested in such a grand scale change. And I think, we have both the other two high schools going through WASC in the near future. And I think it's kind of part of the language of how high quality instruction is done now, to be thinking across and integrating rather than silos of subject areas, of instructional strategies, that really having a more cohesive approach is what works for students, regardless of kind of classification or labels.
Thanks.
Trustee Wygand?
Yes, thank you. This is a great presentation, and I was focusing in on the slide that says elementary AVID versus secondary AVID. And everything under the elementary AVID school-wide looked like something that, regardless of AVID, it's something you should learn in school. And I kind of piggybacking on what Trustee Ursulou was saying, is that these things should, I believe, and I think we believe, should be peppered into everything that they learn, because just like Ms. Plata was saying, is that some of her students or colleagues or fellow students, I should say, they didn't have that same experience or knowledge base on reading and how to go through text and everything like that. And I just don't think that we should have that at every single site, regardless if they sign up for being an AVID class or not. So if there's any way we could, I love the idea of AVID, but these are such essential building blocks, I think, for a student and how to learn, that it would be great to pepper those through, all schools.
And certainly many non-AVID teachers teach many of these strategies, but they might use language that is unique to themselves or their classroom or their subject area. And one of the reasons kind of this is so successful is it transcends all of that. So I won't say something different than Kurt is saying, than Vanessa is saying. We're all using, whether you're in 3rd grade or 4th grade or science class, or like everybody has that common language. And so sometimes, we don't like giving up our little thing. It's our thing. And so but when you learn how impactful it can be for students, and you see that over and over. And I think we shared, right, that she was the keynote speaker. Didn't we share that with the board?
At AVID, yeah, last summer.
Yeah. So that impact in our own teachers of schools she attended, heard her. Like on the floor, like mic drop. It was like, it's transformational. And I think that's part of the experiences that Keith has been setting up too, both in having teachers and principals and all types of leaders go see other schools, but also we'll be hosting some schools to see and talk about our experiences. And the more we do that with other professionals, kind of outside our own echo chamber, be that our school or even our sister school, like just our district, I think it really grows in impact when you realize, like, oh, it really makes a difference for students to hear it year after year after year. Their skills just grow exponentially. So I don't want to say that there aren't many teachers who teach these all the time. I'm sure we think they don't stick as well as they should, but that's, again, why we have that consistency in language, regardless of school, regardless of grade.
What I appreciate about your comment is the reference of building blocks, and that's what it is. It's providing an access point, and these are the pieces that are going to ensure success down the road, and it's just creating a system around those building blocks so that the kids can pick up and go on day one when they move on to the next grade level.
I see some students in the audience. Any of you AVID students or former AVID students?
Guess we got to change that.
All right.
There we go.
Trustee Anderson, you're next.
What, Victor?
I was just going to say, I was an AVID student at Ray, so it's really awesome, yeah.
I was actually an AVID student at Estancia, in fact, my teacher, right over there, Mr. Sterling. I wouldn't be here without him and without AVID, so you guys are doing great work.
All right. Trustee Anderson.
Yes, thank you. Following up on what Ms. Shields was sharing about kind of the strategies that might be used that are maybe not disclosed or called what they are, and I think also what Trustee Wigand was saying, I think it would be great to have not just the AVID strategies, but also the GATE strategies, which are also just basic good teaching. Some of these things in classrooms, I know perhaps our fire chief may not agree, but environmental print is really important, and I think even if at all levels, right? Like I think I remember in my math class specifically being like, this room is just blank. There's not a lot going on in here, and those are those opportunities to have some of these kind of like what they are and what it could mean in practice. And I think particularly as we're trying to raise, I know at Ray specifically, Dr. Hogard has been really successful in having kids transition into 7th grade, becoming reclassified. And so I think writing is the #1 thing that we see English learners often struggle with. And so just have, even if a school is not dedicated as being an AVID school, I think it would be great to see more focus on just including these as something that would be helpful to have around schools and talked about more often. I remember like Open Court back in the day had bookmarks, and it was like everyone had them, teachers had them, parents had them. And so I think just kind of doing some of those training pieces and just putting it out there. And then I think, even more teachers, but also parents. I think that's the piece also. Parents aren't necessarily aware of the benefits of it. I think in the past it's been like homework help in some people's minds, and that's not what it is. So I'm excited to see that and the addition at Newport Coast. That's so interesting and awesome. Thank you.
I think too, and hopefully you'll see in our presentations, like one of the things we're trying to make sure is that we're connecting the dots for all of you and for the public and for staff. Like these aren't efforts in isolation. So this is with our thinking maps, this is with our writing, this is with our curriculum adoption that we're embedding, that universal design, that access for students with learning disabilities. Like all of that is built into the training we're doing for every teacher, because every student is our responsibility. And so while everything doesn't have to have like a super label on it, like when you go to the training, that all of that is coming together in the highest possible learning environments we're creating in the classroom, the strategies we're choosing, the way we're thinking about how to engage, how to plan, how to assess students. And so that really is from Lori to Vanessa to Keith to Dr. Shaka, like all of it together is really about that entire system so that no child doesn't receive this. And the example we gave today about the philosophical chairs, those higher level critical thinking, that is exactly what's taught in GATE differentiation. So it really is, again, all linked together, those critical thinking skills. So whether we're labeling it AVID or we're labeling it GATE or we're labeling it what English learners need, they are the same caliber and quality. Just teachers understanding when, why, how, and how to keep engaging students and scaffolding it. But thank you for that.
Thank you. So let's move on to our next report, which is 18, report on TK expansion. Assistant Superintendent Shields.
Yeah, so I'll take that, yeah. So we're thankful to have our Director of Early Learning, Kathleen Leary, with us this evening. And the board has a priority of focusing on early literacy and expanding learning opportunities for our students. And certainly the work that we're doing in transitional kindergarten aligns with that priority. A few background pieces in regards to transitional kindergarten. We're currently in our 12th year of implementing the transitional kindergarten program. This year is our 2nd year of running a standalone transitional kindergarten program, meaning that we do not have combination classes of transitional kindergarten students and kindergarten students. These are standalone programs, so we're in our second year of that. And when we hit the year 2025-26, that will be when we have an entire 12-month window for our students in transitional kindergarten, which will mean that we have a program for all students who turn 4 years old, which is really super exciting. And what it is truly an 8th grade level at the elementary level when you think about it. We have TK, kindergarten, and then grades 1 through 6. And you think about these early years, we're very thankful to have the work that Kathleen is doing, but you think about the early years, those first 5 years, we know that a child's brain is 90% developed by the time they turn 5 years old. And the amount of learning that is happening with children who are young is incredible. So when we have these students with us in our classroom, we don't take that lightly. We know there's a wonderful opportunity to educate them. And I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen to share with us the great work that's happening in our early learning program.
Good evening, President Crane, board members, Dr. Smith, cabinet, and community members. I'm very excited to be here to talk about our program for one of our youngest learners in our school district. And the other thing I just want to say is that I'm very thankful to have had the preschool experience that I had up until really rolling out the expansion of TK, because before I was an elementary teacher and principal, and I didn't know what I didn't know about early learning. And so this has been such a fascinating journey. I've learned so much from our preschool teachers. And so I'd love to share a little bit about how we brought that into TK. So just a little bit of background. I won't get too much into it because I know it's getting late, but one of the things going back to 2010, when what was going on was that the state of California was changing the kindergarten birth dates. So originally, children turned 5 by December 2nd. They were eligible for kindergarten. However, what they wanted to move it back to September. And so to capture those children of those 3 months, they created transitional kindergarten. And then in 21, they decided that they were going to open it up and slowly roll it out so that they would include all 4-year-olds. I won't, go into too much detail about this, but really we, as Dr. Sir said, we had TKK combos for the longest time, and last year was our first year to do a TK only classroom. And that was also the first year in which parents, the state of California was really adamant that they wanted parents to be able to choose, do they want their child in a preschool setting or TK? And we'll get into that in a little bit, but that was one of the requirements that we have, or options for parents. Next year, just so you know, starting in 24-25, children can turn 5 between September 2nd and June 2nd. And over the summer, a couple things. We are, in preschool world and pre-kindergarten world, we don't have standards. We have something called foundations, and they're revamping those for preschool and for TK, which is the later pre-kindergarten. The other thing that I'm working on with health services and special ed is a toileting independence plan. As we know, our children are getting younger and younger, not only in TK, but they are getting younger in preschool. And so we are working together to have one uniform system and plan for the whole district. And then by 2025, 2026, a child turns 4 by September 1st. Now, I want to just remind you, and I keep saying this, but I remind you that we start school in August. So that means those little ones are going to be 3 years old when they come through our doors. And so our programs have to be prepared to meet those needs. So if you look at some of the TK enrollment, I won't go too much into this, but I pinpointed the year that we started expansion, and so we grew pretty significantly. Even if you look at the TK numbers, enrollment before COVID was 266, and then last year we grew to 317. The numbers will continue to increase, But again, there's a variability because some families do choose to be in, say, for instance, our full day, full year preschool program because it goes 246 days. And so they'll go to preschool as opposed to TK. And on any given year, we really don't know what the options that parents choose. So as I mentioned, parents can choose either TK versus preschool. And real quick, the similarities are that they do have a class size of 24, and they both have early learning IAs that help out the teacher in the classroom. The difference is that in TK, they're certificated teachers, and in our preschool program, they are classified teachers. In addition, we are licensed by the California Department of Social Services in our preschool classrooms, so we have to have an 8-to-1 ratio. Whereas in transitional kindergarten, we do have a 12-to-1 ratio, and primarily because we really want kids to be safe, and as they're getting younger, we need more eyes on all of the children. So real quick, I wanted to show the day in the life of a TK child. And in TK, we want kids to be able to explore and to be inquisitive and also to learn and practice through play and in small groups. So lots going on in our TK classrooms. If you ever visit one, there's so much going on. And in Newport-Mesa, as I mentioned earlier, we really want our pre-K or our TK programs to be developmentally appropriate. We want to meet the children at where they're at. And we want to cultivate some of those social skills that are so important. You heard the importance in AVID that they need them to be able to be collaborative and to work in teams. And we want to promote some of those social skills. Those are really some of our primary skills we work on. Language and literacy, hands-on exploration. But most important, we want to get our children ready for kindergarten. And when we talk about school readiness, and many of you are aware of what EDI and the Early Developmental Index, and we know from research that if a child goes to school ready for kindergarten, they're more likely to be successful later in life, in not only academics, but socially. And so we found that EDI is a valid and reliable tool to help us measure. It's more of a kind of a indicator to what communities and where we can put some extra help and resources in. And we do it on a 3-year cycle, so the next time we will be doing the EDI will be the next school year, 24-25. And what does the EDI measure? It measures the physical health and well-being, emotional maturity, language and cognitive development, social competence, and communication and general knowledge. There has been predictive reliability studies that have been done to show EDI data compared to the same children when they do the SBAC. And what they have found is that under these two categories, language and cognitive development, as well as communication and general knowledge, those, even though all of the areas have a predictive indicator of later success, those two have the strongest. What we find in Newport-Mesa, there's 2 areas that our children come in really strong. One is the physical readiness for the day. They come ready for school with their clothes, weather appropriate, as far as being able to, they've had breakfast. In addition, readiness to explore new things. They want to, read books. They ask questions about their world, really looking to be inquisitive. So those are some strengths. Some areas that we look for growth. One is gross and fine motor. So about 57% of our children come into kindergarten able to hold a pencil correctly, manipulate zippers and buttons and their, some of the fine motor things they need for their lunches. Also, some other areas are the pro-social and helping behavior. What that means is, do children invite others to play? Do they want to help others if someone's hurt or injured? The other piece is the general skills communication skills and general knowledge. Our children who come into kindergarten, are they able to answer questions about the world around them be able to articulate complete sentences. And so that is another area that we really want to work on in TK. And so when you look at a map, I'll go over this pretty quickly, the lighter the blue, the more ready that community, or the children in that community are ready for kindergarten. And you'll notice that we have areas in Costa Mesa and in Newport Beach that all have some darker areas. So the darker the color, the less ready some of those children in those areas. The difference being is in the areas in which the children might have lower proficiency. And so even though the data that I showed you included all children, some communities have different areas that have stronger outcomes. So using that data, what we did is we really wanted to, in phase 1, is to really train our teachers in intentionally designing their classrooms. When we say that, it goes much beyond just the physical space. We're talking about routines, materials, also that emotional climate, that adult to child interaction, making sure that it's positive, making sure that there's positive reinforcement, and that it sets the stage for learning and behavior. The other piece is, as you notice in the picture, is we really want to make sure that the learning centers not only are developmentally appropriate, but they're changed up based on the theme. I would imagine in this picture, they're learning about community workers and community helpers, and so they're practicing what they're learning through some of the centers. In phase 2, which was this year, we really wanted to parallel what was going on at the K2 level with the early literacy, and we focused on some of those early childhood literacy skills. Print knowledge, phonological awareness, vocabulary, oral language, and writing, which is really writing their name and just, practice with the pencil and drawing, those type of things. Our professional development also really had focused on those EDI domains in which we wanted to focus on. Really looking at giving, and all of these flyers happen to be, we do something called the Moonlight Series. So after school, teachers come, it's voluntary, but it's open to all of our preschool, gen ed, and special ed, along with TK, gen ed, and special ed. And this year, we started inviting kindergarten teachers. And so we worked on fine motor skills, bringing in the OTs that are teaching how to develop that hand strength and what teachers can do to help students develop fine motor skills. Also, transforming challenging behaviors, and that one was this year, and it was open to pre-K, TK, and kindergarten teachers. And then, of course, our board priority being the early literacy. In fact, tomorrow we have our second training for the letters, which is parallel to what the K2 teachers are doing with the letters for early literacy. In addition, we really reach out to our parents as partners in their child's education. And so we've created a kindergarten readiness website, and there's all sorts of activities on there that parents can do. And again, we really tried to focus on those EDI skills that we knew that children need in order, and that they're coming in not having. For instance, the fine motor, the gross motor. This is social competency. And these things, for instance, the grocery store and what they can do in the grocery store to practice some of those self-regulation skills that might seem like it's a daily chore, but it's things that parents can do with daily activities that they do. Oral language, really focusing on communication and general knowledge, as well as the board priority, really reading with their children, asking questions, but doing everyday activities where they can do letter recognition. Trustee Anderson, you mentioned environmental print, so really activities that families could use, when they're in the car, when they can see the McDonald's sign or what other restaurant signs, store signs that they can use even just to look at different letters and, communicating with, asking their children questions instead of having them on devices when they're in the car. And then next year, we know that the elementary is going to be focusing on math, and so we will also be focusing on developmentally appropriate practice in math. And even though there's not a curriculum, we are bringing, Lori Hernandez has contracted with one of the professional development agencies that they're using, and we're going to be focused hands-on, developmentally appropriate, fun ways to learn math. And the other area is really focusing on that communication skills. How can our teachers, how can our aides ask questions that get to to a deeper level of understanding of some of the things that they're learning? And that's it. Any questions?
Trustee Wygant?
Yes. So one question I get from parents a lot is that there's such a developmental difference in a 4-year-old from someone's birthday that's in January compared to someone's kid's born in December. And it's such a, it's just a big growth period of your life there. So they're wondering, how is the curriculum going to be adapted to that wide range if you have all 4-year-olds in one class? Because I think some preschools will do, kids born in the fall all together, kids born in the spring all together, that kind of thing. But how are we adapting the curriculum to encompass that big growth range?
That's a great question, and we do that a lot in preschool as well. And where we do most of that instruction on the curriculum is in our small groups. So we do a lot of the introduction in our circle time and the carpet time, but when we have our aides and our teachers working in small groups, that's where we're able to differentiate so that children who have different varying levels of proficiency, say in math, that they're able to learn at their level in the small group.
Gotcha. So with that 12-to-1 ratio and then an IA in there, that will really help out with
that would help out, and plus any parent volunteers, sometimes we can make the ratio a little bit lower, so there might be an independent center, so there might be 3 groups of 8, or if there's a parent group, they could have 4 groups, and there's one child, one group in which they're doing an independent station. But so there's a lot of different setups, and that's one of the things that we work with teachers on, and how they can set up their learning environment so that they are reaching the needs of all of their children and giving them different strategies to do that.
Gotcha. So as a parent, you say, my kid being the youngest 4-year-old will still be, won't be lost in a class of more advanced.
Correct, yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Trustee Anderson?
Thank you. Well, first I want to acknowledge we have a former trustee who, Tom Egan, who used to represent Westside Costa Mesa, and his #1 focus in the very first conversation I had with him was early childhood education. And so thank you, Tom, for being here. I know it's not on this item necessarily, but we're glad you're here for this. And I just wanted to ask Kathleen, do we have a plan for training and giving kind of insight to parents about this upcoming math piece? Will we be I know for summer we're putting together kind of kits to go out into the neighborhoods to involve and inform people. Are we doing something similar for math?
So
math focus?
We tried to parallel what's going on at the elementary site. So for instance, in TK, if there's a literacy night, then whoever is doing, we also have an early literacy component. Hopefully with math, we're able to introduce families to what we're doing in the classroom as it relates to math. Other things that we are doing is we are hoping to have a lot more parent nights, a lot more kindergarten readiness events. The kindergarten readiness website is just the first step, but we would like to expand that and just bring families in as much as we can and partner with them. We do a lot of it in preschool already, but I want to see how we can expand it into TK.
Thank you.
I have a comment and a question. So as far as TK, the maximum class size is 24.
Correct.
So when we get to 24, do we have actually 2 certificated teachers in the classroom?
Well, That's a very good question, and it really depends on the time of year. Sometimes, in the beginning of the year, if we see that we're over 24, often we have another teacher and we have 2 different classrooms. We did that at Harborview, for instance, this year. We had 26 at the beginning, so we had 2 different teachers. Sometimes mid-year, we get that 25th child,
Right.
and instead of disrupting the whole class, we might hire a teacher or another aide to try to help with the ratio, so that we make sure that make sure all kids are safe, right? And
Right.
they're getting what they need.
Okay.
So it depends really on the time of year and when the child comes in.
Yeah, and I think it's an exceptional ratio, because I was talking to a parent, and they were concerned that if they were to put their child in transitional kindergarten, that there'll be a class of 24 with 1 teacher. And I said, oh, no, we have a whole set of expectations for TK because they are so young.
Yeah, right.
And so
And the
that
IAs
awareness is really important.
Right, and just to throw in there that the IAs that we have are the same requirements for our preschool. So we have the early learning, they have to have so many units of early childhood so that they are familiar with, the growth and development of a 3- and 4-year-old, so that they have that.
And I love the fact that you use the word, the phrase parents as partners, because of course, it's a board priority to engage the community and the parents intentionally, and I think that's just so right on. And when parents are sending their 4-year-old away, they really want to make sure that they're part of the community. And so I think that's a great message to share with our community as well. So I love that.
Thanks.
Very exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on to consent calendar. Do I have a motion to adopt the calendar?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Who seconded this motion?
We all did.
That's not how it works. Okay. Pearson. Moved by Trustee Wygand and seconded by Trustee Pearson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Wygand?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Trustee Barto? Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
All right. 6-0, 1 absent. The consent is adopted. We will now move on to item 20, public hearing action calendar. 20A, public hearing of the Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers initial proposal for successor agreement to the Newport-Mesa Unified School District for negotiations commencing 2024. Assistant Superintendent Olson.
Thank you very much. You heard both of our labor partners this evening speak of negotiations with CSEA. We sunshined at our last meeting. We have dates set. We're looking forward to getting to the table and having some strong conversations and collaborations to work on the articles that were shared at that meeting. Tonight, our focus is with NMFT, and you heard from President Reed that they are sunshining their document to you. This is a little different than what we had last month because this is a successor. So that's why you will notice that there are more articles being opened because the entire contract is open. And so for both parties. Once we go through the process tonight, we will set dates, and we're anxious to get started with them as well. So this first hearing is for the initial proposal, the successor agreement that for the board to receive to begin negotiations.
Okay, thank you. The hearing is now open at 8:26. Are there any public comments? Seeing that there are none, the hearing is now closed at 8:26. We move on to 20B, receive Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers initial proposal for a successor agreement to the Newport-Mesa Unified School District for negotiations commencing 2024. Assistant Superintendent Olson?
So we now ask that the board take action to receive NMFT's sunshine document.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Trustee Wygand moved it, and Trustee Ursulou seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Wygand?
Yes.
Trustee Soilu?
Yes.
Trustee Barto? Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
All right, the vote passes 6-0. Let's move on to 20C, public hearing of the Newport-Mesa Unified School District's initial proposal for successor agreement to the Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers for negotiations commencing 2024. Ms. Olson?
Thank you. And so we ask that the board open the public hearing for the district's initial proposals for the successor agreement, and then followed by approving our document for negotiations.
Thank you. The hearing is now open at 8:27. Are there any public comments? We have none. The hearing is now closed, 8:27. 20D, approve Newport-Mesa Unified School District's initial proposal for successor agreement to the Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers for negotiations commencing 2024. Ms. Olson?
Thank you. So now we do ask that the board vote and approve the Sunshine document for the district.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by trustee Wygand, seconded by trustee Ersoylu. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crane?
Yes?
Trustee Wygan?
Yes.
Trustee Soilu?
Yes.
Trustee Barto? Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Great, the vote passes 6-0, one absent. And now we move on to 20E, public hearing in consideration of seeking a waiver of the competitive bidding procedures set forth in Ed Code 17466 et sequent for potential ground lease and development of district property. Assistant Superintendent Trader.
So you recall back in September, the board directed staff to form a 7-11 committee. It's a surplus property committee, and that was done. The committee met, and they have completed their work. As part of that tonight, we have with us Adam Arith, who is the chair of that committee. This committee was made up of community members throughout the community, responsible, wonderful people that took their responsibilities seriously and fulfilled their objective. And so with that, then, if it's all right with President Crane, Mr. Arith, Dr. Arith, can...
I think that's F.
You want to do it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're at E, we have to open the hearing.
The public hearing.
Okay. So, may I proceed? The hearing is now open at 8:30. Are there any public comments? It appears we have 2 public comments. We have Wendy Lees, followed by Austin Mattison. It's also 3 minutes. Do we need to read the statement, or are we okay? All right. Wendy Lees.
Good evening again, Madam President, Dr. Smith, members of the board. My name is Wendy Lees. I live in the 7th District, and Mr. Egan and I came together. He followed me on the school board, and we have differences, but on this, we are collaborating. Ashley represents the 7th District, and that's where the property, the 11 acres, is. And I challenge you to take this process seriously, because it may seem like it's, development and land, and then you've got environmental issues, the Coastal Commission, but I really want you to take this as seriously as you took AVID and the TK, because it's an opportunity. It's not just land and let's sell it or lease it or what are we going to do, but it's a way that we can all collaborate and decide, what should we do with that 11 acres that has been sitting there for a long time? When I was up there, a developer came and pitched it, but there were just too many environmental concerns, and that was kind of even before the Coastal Commission issues. So here are some ideas. One, read the letter you received from Dr. Terry Welsh. Maybe read it 3 or 4 times, because it's got a lot of issues in there that you're going to have to seriously consider. The constraints. It isn't just 11 acres of dirt. There's there's owls out there, the burrowing owls, and there are rules regarding the habitat that surrounds the burrowing owl, and other little critters too. But I encourage you to think outside the box and think of an outdoor classroom on the west side. We have the Environmental Nature Center in Newport Beach. We have the Muth Center. They both have outdoor facilities, an amphitheater. If you've been out to Santiago Canyon, they're building a new amphitheater out there. Kids need to be outdoors, and it could be an innovative, a state-of-the-art outdoor classroom and an opportunity to work with Dr. Welsh and the new, the Randall Preserve and what their vision is for education and in addition to trails. So really be part of the discussion. Jeff's done an amazing job in directing the 7-Eleven committee, and Dr. Arith led the way. And I came 3 times to 3 of the meetings to just give input. If you read the minutes, there were a lot of people like me that want to see more of an environmental center rather than a school or a development. So please take this opportunity seriously. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Austin Madison. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Austin Madison. I'm a parent of 3 children currently enrolled in Newport Heights. I'm here to voice my concern about how the 7-Eleven committee was actually run and kind of what we saw happen with there. Kind of throughout the entirety of the 7-Eleven committee, we found that they largely ignored the public comment and the public input. It does seem to me very much that there's some kind of special interest behind it, because the committee's recommendations seem to ignore things like the fact that Costa Mesa's housing element, which is redistricting the West Mesa district, is going to add, I want to say, thousands of new homes and households to that area. We're not factoring in the household load that's going to be there. The comments made about the Coastal Commission and a lot of people's regard for preserving this as open space were largely tabled. But instead, we got the top priority on this to be a lease with a special waiver added to that lease, which it's very interesting about what's behind that. Why all of a sudden we must have something behind that we don't know about as the public, and that concerns me quite a bit, because the 7-Eleven committee seems to be a bit, I don't want to say the word cherry picked, but they came up with the exact answer to what this is, but there's nothing behind it from the public or any input from the community that said that they wanted exactly that. We did an FOIA request, and it came back with nothing. The fact that there's no communication on this property at all is concerning too. Me personally, my input on it is I do want the district to retain the property. Next year, my son will be going to Ensign. He wants an e-bike. That means he's going to be crossing Newport Boulevard twice a day. And honestly, from my wife and I, we're terrified of that idea. A lot of kids do that move. There's going to be a lot more kids on that side of the street moving forward as they develop more and more of that land. I think the outdoor education is another potential for that site that would make a lot of sense. Other districts have done this in California. In fact, the firm you guys are currently hiring for your master plan has actually done that kind of programming before for school districts in California. It's something I would consider like a next level or a platinum status that district would do to get themselves their own outdoor education center in the district. So I really urge that the board would take the sell and the lease items off the plate. I think this land has a lot of value to the district still. But all that said, I do appreciate your guys' hard work on this and hope that you make the best decision possible. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the hearing is now closed at 8:36. We move on. Actually, I have a question. Ms. Lees, you had under agenda topic and number, you had E and F, 20E and F? Okay, so, thank you. 20F, resolution number 190424, accepting surplus property 7-Eleven Advisory Committee report, declaring property to be surplus property, and authorizing a request for waiver of the surplus property competitive bidding procedures set forth in Ed Code Section 17466, EDSEC. And Assistant Superintendent Trader, would you like to comment?
Just like to introduce Dr. Adam Arith, who can provide a brief overview of the process the committee followed and their work product, the report.
All right, thank you, Assistant Superintendent Trader. Dr. Smith, President Crane, trustees, executive, what do you call them here? Board or cabinet? Okay, I usually say staff and the public. It's nice to join you this evening. My name is Adam Arith, and I had the great pleasure and privilege of chairing the 7-Eleven committee for you. I'll give you a little bit of background on me before I go into the specifics of what we did in the workflow of this committee. So I think some of you know me as, through the City of Costa Mesa, I do chair the city's Planning Commission. I am also the principal owner and researcher for Arith Environmental, which is at present doing environmental education in the entertainment industry. And I'm very happy to say that as of a couple days ago, we showed up in Billboard magazine for a new program that we have for film and TV coming up. But I would say of all these things, I'm most proud of the fact that I am a 2002 graduate of Newport Harbor High School as well. So I've been here for pretty much my whole life. Family's been here for about 75 years, and a very, very happy Costa Mesa / Newport Beach resident. So first off, thank you again for the appointment and to my colleagues for their unanimous support to chair this commission. The 7-Eleven committee, as I'm sure you know, for the past several months and for many out in the public, this was to weigh not just truth, however people think truth is, but to actually collect the facts as to what can be done on this property. And if dispossessing or selling or leasing or retaining this property was of a particular interest, and then to rank those things through a priority use list. So what we decided collectively on this board was to seek the waiver for the surplus property competitive bidding procedures, which effectively gives you the ability to decide what you want to do instead of a prescribed list of what should be done, which may not actually match the reality for Newport-Mesa Unified. So we believed very strongly in that as a team. And I think with that sentiment, we also wanted to give you the most choice that you could as well. That was also in the same vein, effectively. So with that, I will say that the overall, my experience, and I do believe that the experience of my colleagues on this board was one where, and I wrote down a few words. It was very open, it was very communicative, it was very inquisitive. It was very collaborative, and I would say in the end, it was crystallized at the end in terms of the recommendations. I think most of us did agree that having a ranked priority list of leasing the land, retaining as open space, and then dispossessing or selling of the land was the correct way to go about this. I think as several members of the public mentioned during our meetings and a couple this evening, there are some very strong feelings around wanting to retain this as open space. And although that may be true, and I think a lot of people do believe in that sense, the fact does remain that there are other options that you can pursue, and that we collectively on this board wanted to leave that to you to decide, not just us. You will also note from the minutes of these meetings, particularly in the fourth and final meeting, that there's a lot of reflection in terms of the depth of considerations that are given to, I would say, all the pathways you can pursue, and this includes the nuance in the ground lease. It includes the open space option, and it also includes some forethought regarding the possibility of workforce development housing as well, with some conditions around that. So I do encourage you to read into that if you have not done so already. I will say that I'm happy to answer any questions you have collectively or individually, so you're more than welcome to reach out to me. But I will end in wanting to thank you again for the appointment to this committee. It was a real pleasure. It broke up my weeks at Planning Commission and doing this environmental education certification pretty nicely. And to say what a real pleasure it was to work with Dr. Smith and Assistant Superintendent Trader, Veronica and Andreas. They're all top-notch servants and deeply passionate and dedicated to serving this district. And it was a real pleasure to serve with them. So again, thank you. And again, reach out to me if you have any questions, okay?
Thank you, Dr. Earth, for your service and your committees as well. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion to adopt the resolution.
Dr. Asolu, and seconded by?
Second.
Trustee Wygand. All right, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crane?
Wait. Weird questions.
Oh, all right, sure, yes. Do we have any comments or questions?
Yeah.
Trustee Anderson?
Am I the only one that has questions?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Earth, for coming here and sharing with us, and for manning this committee. Mr. Trader, could you explain some of the process for people who were on the committee? Was there an application? What did that look like, please?
Yes, so there was an application. We received a number of applications. And from that perspective, we needed certain qualifications. So 7-Eleven committee is made up of folks that represent certain aspects of the community. And so we took all those aspects, we put them all in a spreadsheet, and then we tried to match up those qualifications to get the people who would have the right spectrum of what's required for the committee.
And where did that list of qualifications come from? That wasn't necessarily from Newport-Mesa, right?
No, that's a great question. That comes from the state, and we have Mr. Stephen McLaughlin here with AALLRR who can explain a little bit more detail about where that comes from a legal perspective.
Yes, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, board members.
It's good evening.
I know it's been late, so I will keep this brief. So the Education Code does require all school districts to name, it's called the 7-Eleven Committee, so it gives a list of the qualifications. Everybody has to be a member of the community. There's different areas, so we need to have a teacher, we need to have an administrator, we have to have someone with an education background generally, someone with knowledge of the business area, someone with knowledge with property issues, so it's listed in the Education Code. So as we mentioned, we send out an application to the world saying we have this committee. If you're interested, please let us know if you fit in one of these categories. We get the applications, we got the applications, we reviewed them, and we identified people that meet those requirements. So that's what the law generally requires, just to make sure that we're getting a broad base of people that have knowledge about specifically our community and also just generally about property needs. So that's where those committee members came from. So it's dictated by the law, but then that gives us some opportunity to just reach out and say, hey, if you're interested to participate, let us know how you fit with these in these qualifications, and then we reviewed those and we picked people that met the requirements for the law and also gave us that sense of what's needed for us to assess the property.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Ersoiler?
Yes, thank you. And since we have you here now, I have another question that might help to, calm the fears of sometimes in the community, people think that we are just rubber stamping what, committees suggest to us and that we're not doing our homework diligently. Could you explain to the crowd what was the most compelling to me of why we are pursuing this waiver? Because my understanding is if we don't pursue this waiver, then we're held to an ed code that says we have to do a competitive bidding procedure that would make us have to choose wherever we make the most money. Right? By we'd have to sell it to someone for the highest, where we would make the most profit, basically, to be a responsible financial landholder, I guess, that's selling it. But with the waiver, we are allowed to more easily factor in things like workforce development, housing, environmental issues, spreading the land, not using parts of it to do something, using other parts to do other things. We have a lot more freedom when we do this waiver than if we don't. Is that a correct understanding? I don't want to misspeak, but.
No, that's actually beautiful, how you just said it. Because there's a lot of confusion in the world. So essentially, the law generally requires school districts, whenever you're going to sell or lease property, to have a public bidding and award to the highest bidder. So you can't look at anything, you just have to look at the price. The legislature said that that's what school districts should do. The waiver allows us to issue an RFP, which basically we announce to the world, we say, hey, we have this property, we're interested in potentially leasing it, let us know what you want to do. And then we get the proposals, and then we look at price, obviously, but we can look at any other factor. So we can tell people, hey, we're interested, we have concerns about the community, we want to honor that, we want to make sure it's serving the community in our district. People give us all these different proposals. We look at price, but we can consider any other factors. And the other great point, which you mentioned, is this waiver does not obligate us to do anything. So we send out this RFP, we get responses. If we don't like them, we don't have to accept them, we don't have to proceed. This is just allowing us to get that information and getting us away from that requirement where we're locked into the highest proposal, which we don't want to do. So that your summary was great. Mine was a little long-winded, but that's exactly right. So thank you for bringing that up.
Our trustee who likes to be precise, concise as well. Could you also explain about
Trustee
what,
Anderson, you have a question?
Yes.
I didn't see your light.
Well, I didn't get to finish my question from earlier.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
All right,
okay.
I stand.
Can you explain about the land use component, about possibly, like, if there's other properties? There's one component that I saw in here, that was one of the recommendations. Where'd it go? It said, if there was an intent to develop into housing, considering a land swap proposition with the MRCA for land that may not be as desirable or environmentally sensitive as the Newport-Mesa landholding, with accompanying letter of support to Coastal Commission to possibly build on an alternative site. Could you explain about land swap propositions, just
She's reading from the report.
very briefly?
Yes, very briefly. So this is another thing. The law does allow school districts to do property swaps, which we call exchanges. So again, this is why the RFP is great, because we can go out to the world and say, hey, we have this property. You want to offer us money, or do you want to offer us another property? And we can consider swapping it. So they might say, we want your property in exchange. You district can have this property, and maybe it's in a different area that we like better. Again, we want to keep it very broad. So we just say, hey, world, developers, landowners, we have this property, we're interested, we're not using it, we might want to use a little bit of it, we're interested in maybe considering another property that you have. A lot of school districts, frankly, have done that, where they've had property that they don't need and they just announce it to the world that it's available, and then they'll get somebody out of the woodwork who's in the location who says, hey, I got this property, I don't need it, you, school district, can have it, and I would like your property. So we call it an exchange, and again, just broad base, we just want to put that out there to the world, saying, hey, if there's something that you have, we're not bound to it, we'll consider it, so let us know what you have. Sometimes you can do half and half, where you get the property and they give you some money if it's not valued as much. So the exchange is an exciting opportunity, but again, we're not bound by it. We can just put it out to the world and say, hey, give us, your best spiel. And you'll be surprised at some of the interesting proposals we get when we do it this way.
I have a couple more questions. So if we were to potentially turn this into an environmental nature center for the west side, would the ground lease be the best option? It's any development, correct, that would be on that site?
Yes, so the RFP is basically, we want to keep it as broad as possible. So we will announce in the RFP, and the report is a public record. So developers will see that, and they'll hear that there's interest in community, environmental, whatever. Sometimes people will come to us and say, hey, we want to develop this portion, but we want to leave the rest. We want to actually maintain it to support our developments. We can do it that way. Frankly, if we get our proposals back and we're like, hey, we don't like any of this, none of this sounds good, or we present it to the community and they're like, hey, we don't want this development, and as we dig down into it, we think as a district, we don't like this, we can drop it and move back and say, okay, we're going to pursue other options. We're not going to lease it. We're going to work with other people, maybe environmental issues, things like that. We can do that. This is the first step in just gathering information. And again, you'll be surprised. I'm always surprised when you do these RFPs, you get people from all over, frankly, the world, who will come to your property and come up with ideas that, frankly, we haven't even thought about. So it's a good first step. It doesn't commit us to anything. But again, if we pull back and we're like, oh, we don't like these proposals, we're not committed to anything, so we can pursue other environmental issues as well.
And so thank you, if tonight we approve this, does that mean we would then need to cease using it for things like the fairs, extra, snack bars that have currently, one of my concerns, so I live right near this, as former trustee Lise was sharing. And one of the concerns I have currently with the environmental impact is there's large, storage containers, Budweiser carts from the fair. I mean, things that to me are not environmentally sensitive for this spot. And so if we approve this, well, then we need to pause that current arrangement for this summer that's coming up, because it might, if we approve it, it might take a while for this to go to the State Board of Ed, right?
Yes, so that's another point that I have to bring up. So yes, the only thing this authorizes us to do is to go to the state and ask for this waiver. I can tell you that the state is a little bit slow in approving these. So I would be shocked if we get it before the summer, frankly, just to be honest with you. But in between that time, there's no restriction on the property. This doesn't relate to our use or non-use. We just wait, and once we get the waiver, if we get it, then we start the RFP process. Nothing affects our use until we sign an agreement, so that'll be way down the line. So that's a separate issue. And it's good to note. So this just approves us going to the state and saying, hey, can we have the waiver? Our firm has never not gotten a waiver, but we've seen it take a long time, multiple months. So I just want to caution you about the timeline. But in that timeline, we're not limited. It doesn't affect our use or the property in any way. We just have to, frankly, wait for the state.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So in summary, if we were to adopt this, we would be in the driver's seat and we'll have local control versus the other option.
Yes. Wow.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and any other questions? All right. So let's go ahead and have the roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Osoilu?
Yes.
Trustee Barto? Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
All right. The vote passes 6-0, 1 person absent. Thank you so much. All right. Let's go to item 21, which is discussion action calendar. 21A is approved concept of schematic design plan for Mustang athletic facilities at Costa Mesa High School. Mr. Trader.
Ada de la Sol, our district's facilities director, has a brief presentation on redesign of Costa Mesa's high school's athletic facilities.
I'm having an identity crisis, so change my name again. Good evening, President Crane, Dr. Smith, trustees, executive cabinet, and guests. Thank you for being here. I'm here to discuss the Costa Mesa athletic programs and improvements to the facilities. And so I just wanted to start off by letting you know, really, it's just to present them in totality for you As you know, all of this is going to be included in our master plan, but to really give you an idea, because you've seen parts of all of these projects individually, but now for you to understand the totality of it is really our intent to bring you up to speed on what we've been working on. So Costa Mesa High School and the Mustang Athletics, the items that we're going to be talking about today are the Mustangs field expansion, the bleacher expansion that we're doing there, in addition to the team room expansion. And then we're looking at baseball and softball that originally started off as a netting project to keep the balls from going from the ball fields over to the football field. Tennis courts, we know the tennis courts need some work and ultimately to be replaced. And then we have a new CIF sport, which is the beach volleyball. So those are the items we're going to discuss today. And I'm not going to take too long because I know it's late and we've provided you this, so I'll go over it quickly. Really what we're just trying to depict here for you. Oh, is it up? It's not up. I'm so sorry. Oh, I don't see it on here. Are you okay with your handout, or do you? Yeah, okay. I apologize, I didn't realize. So what you're seeing in front of you is just a layout of the current fields and what we're proposing here. Really, the only things to really note on the Mustangs field itself, with the expansion of bleachers and the building placement, there are some activities that we need to bring back into the field proper that are currently outside of the Mustangs field and are adjacent to the baseball and the softball fields. And so we have shot put, discus, and a scoreboard that would also be relocated back into the Mustang field area, as well as a new building of team room, concessions, and storage. So we have been working with the site on all of these things. We've met with them several times with their athletic directors and the site administration. We've had a lot of good feedback, and we've gone through and we've provided updates to all of these plans. They haven't completely blessed it down to the minute details, but the overall scope and the placement of activities has been reviewed and, I'll say, soft approved, because we were waiting for your review before we formally approved anything. So we have here in the exhibits below, we have at the top the existing, the proposed, and then below we have just the orientation of where that building expansion would be and how that works with circulation. That was a big deal to us. So as we're considering all of these improvements, we have also implemented some of the site safety and security priorities that you've identified, and we've started to talk to the architect of how that shapes this project, how you would access these new buildings, as well as the existing buildings and existing facilities, protect some of these gathering areas from vehicles being able to travel into those areas, as well as looking at what the visual screening may look like from the street elevation. So if you're thinking about Arlington, is there something that we can do to create that visual barrier between the street and the athletic fields to some degree to provide that safety aspect that we're looking for, as well as bollards, and wayfinding is a big piece of it that we're also working with the architect on. So the next few images on this page and the next on the bottom of all of these are really just images for us to help the site kind of see beyond what they're used to, see beyond what they already have, and kind of dream big, right? So although we do have a program established for all of these activities and specific sports that we're providing facilities for, you still can, customize it to feel like Costa Mesa and a Mustang facility. And so we've given them some opportunities to have input on those elements there. One of the things I will point out as far as the athletic classrooms, so we're always trying to position ourselves to be able to get state funding on these projects. And so when you see that we're talking about classrooms, you may see some notations that are more typical of a classroom than maybe what you're going to ultimately use it for, but it gives us the flexibility and still preserve our opportunity to apply for funding. So we're looking at that as well as just the operational and the functional use of these spaces. So lots of pretty stuff that we've shown the sites, and I did have to say, like, well, don't show them that because that's bigger than it's going to be. Like, cut the picture down a little bit so it feels a little more realistic. So we're trying to be real thorough. The other facilities that we're looking at on the next page are, so in addition to the netting that we've talked about in order to protect the football field from balls flying over there, the softball and baseball backstops, I can't find any documentation of when those were built, how those were built, so we know that we need to replace those as well as incorporate the netting. Another thing that we've done, and we're doing this across the board, and we do this every time we look at a project. When somebody calls me and says, hey, we want to do this at Newport Harbor High School, I say, what does Costa Mesa, Estancia, and CDM have? Do they all have the same thing, or how does it compare? And with athletics, it's slightly different than what we'll talk about with equity and equality, right? So not everybody has to get the exact same thing. Sometimes when it comes to the educational program, so for example, at Newport Harbor High School, you'll have a culinary program. That doesn't mean we're going to go build culinary facilities at every other school. So, but with athletics, it's a lot tighter than that. So we look at what everybody else has. And so as we're doing projects, we don't just, stick with our standard, and we're so, I don't want it to sound negative, but narrow-minded that we don't think about the advancements or the opportunities we have as we're considering a project that may enhance our standard, right? So you have a base standard, but you always want to be considering what you can do better. So we've been looking at that. And as you know, the beach volleyball being a new CIF sport, we obviously have to include those. So here you're just seeing some potential placements. So if you're looking at, this is just the existing baseball, softball field. The next image is really looking at how we improve those areas as well as the backstop and netting. We have considered at some of our other sites team rooms and concessions and restrooms for those other sports, because so far what we've done everywhere except for at Estancia is we've really built these athletic stadiums or sports facilities that are enclosed with fencing. And so in order to use those restrooms or those concessions, it's very difficult. So if you think about Estancia High School, we had that second field house project that we did. And although it doesn't necessarily have team rooms or concessions, as I was saying before, we're always looking for funding opportunities and to enhance our standards. And so what you're seeing in this image here is you're seeing an additional field house building that would have restrooms, concessions, and storage areas. And then you're seeing a total of 3 beach volleyball courts. We have gone back and forth with some of the sites. Is it 3? Is it 6? Because if you're having a CIF competition, you really need 6. And so we're preserving the area for 6, but we're only showing 3 right now. And then below, all it really is are the different materials and the areas that we're going to be impacting. You have softball and baseball, so we're looking at netting, dugouts, backstops. Padding ends up being important because you don't want kids running into walls. We had to do that at CDM on the varsity softball field. There is a small concrete pony wall, and we had to go put padding on that. And my daughter was a softball player, outfielder at the time, and I was like, falling back doesn't sound fun. So, and then you'll see here, these beach volleyball facilities are pretty fascinating. We only have facilities currently at Corona Del Mar High School. Their old pool was infilled and has a sand volleyball court. The other sites like at Newport Harbor High School where they had a pool before, it's just the courtyard in between the 2 gymnasiums. And then we have at Estancia, as you know, we're doing the student gathering area where that infill project occurred. Costa Mesas, we built the new pool over the old 33-meter footprint, so that's not there. But anyhow, so we only have the one site. The others are using other facilities in the beach. So a goal of the district has been to have all of our students be able to have athletics on their own campus, right? So this is us trying to bring that level of service and standard to all of our campuses. And let's see. So just a little bit more detail. Oh, so the tennis courts. Tennis courts are a fun one. The Corona Del Mar, well, so first of all, we all know that Costa Mesa's tennis courts need to be replaced. We've done our best to repair them and keep them alive for as long as we can. And at this point, it's like, you know, you're going to get your nails filled with acrylic and a new top coat on it. That's about as good as it's going to get. So we're going to see what we can do until we get to building new ones. But the important thing with tennis courts, and when I was first learning about tennis courts, I had no idea, you know, post-tension, what does that even mean? What do we do? It's concrete, right, or asphalt. You put some nice top coat on it and you're good to go, right? With a little design. So I don't even get my nails done, so I'm just using that as a reference. But post-tension tennis courts, if you go look at from district to district, tennis court to tennis court, the way that it's built with this cabling, which literally they put tension on the cabling and it keeps the concrete from cracking. So if you go look at Corona Del Mar's tennis courts, the 3 that are separate from the others, even though the others are in great condition, those 3 are post-tension and they are performing very well. And so that's our intent here is we're going to scrape it and we're going to give them all new and what we would want for our district standard. On all of these facilities, we're considering lighting, fencing, all the safety measures that we can incorporate, and wanted to make sure you knew what we were doing. And that's all I have. So we'll come back to you at a later date with budgets and all schedules and all those type of things with phasing and the master plan. This was really just to bring you up to speed on where we are and what the totality of the project is to date.
Okay, Trustee Murphy.
All right, so thank you for this. It's gorgeous, obviously, and would be so exciting to have in Costa Mesa at Costa Mesa High School. I know it's going to take a while before we get there. It'll be really thrilling for the community, so thank you so much for all your hard work on this.
Thanks.
And as a neighbor who lives right across the street, I just, I want to know where the pickleball courts are on this. 'Cause
We're
don't see those.
We're gonna do 2-story tennis court pickleball. You know, why not? My church had 2-story basketball courts in it, so.
Thank you.
Of course.
Trustee Anderson?
Thank you. Are all of these then set, though? I just was wondering about like an item like a referee's lounge. How did we get there? Do we need that? Do we have that at other schools?
Yes.
How large is that?
Yeah, so we have it at both Estancia and Newport Harbor. The site has just elected to take over that space for other purposes. And so you'll find that the referees don't have any place to go. And so we always want to try to provide it. And if the site decides that, you know, they need it for storage, then they have the latitude to make those decisions. But it is typical to provide those facilities. The LPA, who is our architect, who's been on our architect on many of our athletic facilities, that's the program, that's the design. And the level of competition that we expect to be performing in these enhanced facilities, there's an expectation that you have officials, you know, to that caliber as well. So it's almost like you have to treat them right. And if you want to play at that level, let's provide the right facilities. So we do have the opportunity to reinstate those programs at the other high schools other than CDM, since it doesn't have a field house and they use Harbor. But it's just a matter of, you know, once we build it, we kind of say, okay, use it properly. But we do take a lot of input, and they were really excited. Costa Mesa was really excited about it and seemed to buy into the thought of utilizing it the way that we're programming it. I mean, it looks like a VIP lounge, so, you know, I can see why they might want to, you know, keep it to themselves.
Thank you. Well, and that's good to hear. I mean, I just didn't realize that that was maybe the name of what's at the end of the stadium at Estancia, so helpful. Thank you.
Okay, I have two questions. I know that it may be premature because we first have to approve the schematic concept in order for you to move on, but I know also that you are very good at forward-looking and planning. So as far as timeline of this project, just as described in the scope of work for A, B, and C, because I'm thinking, okay, let's say we were to approve it tonight, then, you know, when is the work going to be done? Is it during the summer? You know, that kind of stuff. So what's the timeline if we were to approve this tonight?
So I would say, as far as construction goes, because as you can imagine, that's a lot of area and a lot of athletics to take down at one time. So I think we would have to prioritize what is palatable to the site to displace. And so I think we know that the netting and the baseball, softball backstops and the Mustangs field kind of go together, as well as now because of where we're placing the beach volleyball. That's kind of its own thing. So considering that tennis courts are in such great need to be replaced, we would likely phase it and get the tennis courts done, you know, first, and then potentially follow up with the others just so that they could not have too many sports displaced at one time, but it's still going to be significant regardless. So if we design it all at one time, you're looking at probably a year of design and DSA approval. And then, so that we're in April. So, and then you're talking about bidding. So depending on the bidding period, 2 months is probably acceptable. So you could be looking at so we're in 24, 25, sometime during summer start of whatever we prioritize. And if it's one phase because they can lose all those athletic, you know, facilities at one time, then so be it. Otherwise, it could be phased, and depending on the tennis court schedule, which would be a lot less than the bleachers and the backstops and the team rooms, that's the longer duration. So it really depends on how long or how much the site can give up at one time. But I would see that the remainder of the work, because we're building new buildings, is probably 12 to maybe 16-month schedule. And tennis courts are probably closer to maybe 8 to 10. And really, when you think about tennis courts, doesn't seem like a lot of work, but the amount of time that you need to cure the concrete for the type of facility we're going to design to, you're going to see it sitting there. And all we're going to do is we're going to keep it moist and covered, and you're going to wonder why. And we're waiting to get the compression, the break tests on that concrete to make sure it's at the strength we need it to be at, so that it doesn't crack later.
Thank you. It's very exciting for the Mesa community. All right, so do I have a motion to
Thank you.
approve?
So move.
All right, Trustee Pearson, and seconded by Trustee Murphy. Roll call vote, please.
Student Board Member Victor Jimenez,
Yes.
Trustee Crane,
Yes.
Trustee Weigand,
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou,
Yes.
Trustee Bartow, Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Pearson,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries. And let's see, resolution adoption calendar, item 22. A, adopt resolution 180424, recognizing California Day of the Teacher, May 7th, 2024, and National Teacher Appreciation Week, May 6th through 10th, 2024. Ms. Olson?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to bring this resolution forward to the board tonight. We all know and recognize that teachers impact lives. We saw evidence of that today. I would venture to say that all of the students that were recognized tonight and other nights, there are teachers around our students who are nurturing and inspiring and bringing them along. And in our own experiences, I'm sure we all also have a special story to tell of a teacher who has made a difference. Maybe it was the kindness they showed, maybe it was just a smile, maybe an intellectual challenge given to us, or even the patience demonstrated when we were struggling. And many, many times, it's just someone that a student can simply count on each and every day. So Our teachers do this for our students day in and day out. They help and they guide them to be their very best. They believe in them. And you can see it in our schools when you visit. You can see it at school activities, and each and every board meeting, we see evidence of that. And so while May 7th is a little bit away, our next board meeting isn't until May 14th. So we wanted to, tonight, in honor and recognition of our teachers, bring forward the resolution acknowledging Teacher Appreciation Week, May 6th through the 10th, and Day of the Teacher, May 7th.
Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 180424?
So moved.
And do I have a second? All right, moved by Trustee Wygand and seconded by Trustee Anderson. Roll call vote?
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Soilu?
Yes.
Trustee Barto? Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And we have a California Day of the Teacher on May 7th, and National Teacher Appreciation Week on May 6th through 10th. The teachers are definitely at the heart of our district, so that's excellent. Let's move on to informal reports. Superintendent Smith.
So just so the public knows, we've done a lot of advocating on behalf of our students in public education over the last 6 weeks. Really, we had an Orange County Legislative Action Day for all superintendents when we urged our electeds to provide flexibility when there are no funds, and specifically to help us with Prop 28 and clarifying what is supplanting and supplementing so that we can get those dollars to the students that our parents really thought they were voting to approve. We also went to DC. I'll let the trustees talk about that. I've been to DC many times. This was by far the most significant trip I've been on, meeting with Deputy Secretary of Education, 2 Assistant Secretaries of Education, Special Assistant to the President on Education. You just don't find trips like that very often, and we did some great advocacy. Did want to let folks know we had a board study session recently where they talked about the budget. We also talked about the facilities master plan. It is recorded, so you're all invited, if you didn't see that, to take a look at that. But most importantly, because the board took action tonight to receive the facilities master plan, you can go to NMUSDplan.org, and you can see the facilities master plan in all of its grandeur. It is big, it is rich, it's ever evolving, so keep looking at it. There's some exciting things planned for the district. We had an event Saturday with Jonathan Haidt and talked about, amongst other things, the influence of cell phones and social media on the mental health and wellness of our students. And I know that there are community members that are really excited about this topic right now. And for those that have urged the board to do something, I would just say that box has been checked. This board actually developed a new board policy, BP 5131.8, where they provide those prohibitions against the cell phone use during the school day that are in alignment with what Jonathan Haidt was speaking about. Any concerns you might have, really direct them at me and the staff, because now it's our task to make sure that all of our employees, all of us, do our part to enforce the board's policy, because it is the law of the land in Newport-Mesa Unified for all intents and purposes. And these kinds of things take time. This is a transition, but we will get there. And I support the board's courage in that regard. Speaking of, and this is my last thing, walking through Target recently and someone grabbed me, which was alarming. And they told me that they've been watching governance in Orange County for 30 years, county and district level. And they said, your board is one of the highest functioning I've seen. Even when they disagree, they do so respectfully. Please give them my best. They didn't give me their name. But I'm giving you their best, and I'm also piggybacking that comment and just saying that board policy is a great example of the way that you've governed since I've been here. It's just a pleasure to do this work with you, and I just thought you needed to hear that feedback from the community.
Thank you. This coming from a Hall of Famer, too. That's pretty big. Thank you, Dr. Smith. All right, so we'll do our board reports, our member board reports. We can begin with Trustee Soilu, because I'm going down the thing.
I will give you 3 minutes of your life. Carry on.
Carry on.
So I sort of feel the same way, except for just a shout out again to all of the staff, parents, the students. India's gone, but Drowsy Chaperone at Costa Mesa High School was literally, it was fantastic. It was sort of jaw-dropping, honestly, to see such a professional production from our high school. From high schoolers in general, and the band was played through the whole show, and so the music was great, and the sets were beautiful. Apparently, one of the parents in the community built most of the sets. I swear to God, I thought I was at a Broadway show. I mean, we were just all like in awe through the whole thing. So, if you ever get a chance, go to a Costa Mesa High School performance, and I think they almost were sold out all weekend. It was also raining, so it was definitely a great thing to do over the rainy weekend. Also, shout out to the Costa Mesa High School baseball team. They won back the bell, so congratulations. I will let Trustee Lisa, sorry it's late, tell you about the CAC meeting, and then hats off to the Kaiser 6th grade teachers who are up in Crestline right now in about a foot of snow, and I don't think any of them were anticipating that necessarily. I wasn't. My son doesn't have snow boots, and so thank you to our staff, especially all of you who go above and beyond in all of these myriad of circumstances that we all find ourselves in that we might not have been anticipating. So, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Our kids were busy in March. The performances I attended were all just amazing. I got to see Newport Coast Elementary performed Oz. Harborview produced Moana Junior, CDM's Hilarious You're in Town, Newport Harbor's dance team. And they were all, like you said, Broadway performances, fantastic. I think my favorite part of all these productions is the very end, when you see all the kids hug each other at the very end or hold hands and sing that last song. You start crying, and it's always my favorite picture when I come home and look through my pictures. The friendships that they build during these, they are off their cell phones, we know that, and it's a joy, it's a total joy to watch. The CDM home tour was fabulous. Gina Jaha is just an incredible leader that we've been fortunate to have for years. It really is a red carpet event and kind of a tradition now in Corona Del Mar. And one that I've been going to for probably 20 years and would never want to miss. It was a fantastic day for everybody. The CAC Advisory Committee that both Michelle and I were at was fantastic. I want to thank Sarah and Juliana for building this committee. Last year, we were in a little room here with about 3 parents, and this year we had a full house. A full house and a full classroom.
Ideas for expanding.
And yes, and expanding. So it's fantastic. Thank you again for building this program. I know it's dear to both of our hearts. I don't want to say my favorite event, but an event that I had never been to before was Battle of the Books, and I wish this was going on when my kids were in school, because these kids in September get a list of 20 books that they have to read. I don't think my kids have read 20 books, and they're 26 right now. So I mean, 20 books in 1 year, and they come to this Battle of the Books and have a competition between 6 elementary schools. And I didn't want to leave, and I wanted more. I wanted Battle of Science. I want Battle of Math. I mean, I know I'm not the parent volunteer anymore, but it was the parent volunteer that did this was Lindsay Combe from East Bluff. It was fun the next week to go to East Bluff's flag deck and see our Mayor, Will O'Neill, give her I don't know what he gave her, but a certificate of heroism, something. It was fantastic. It was fantastic to watch. And I also went to the Jonathan Haidt presentation. It was fantastic. He wants our kids to get back to a
play-based childhood versus a phone-based childhood. I love that our parents said this is what they're going after. I love that this is what they're putting their energy in. Quickly, the 4 things that he wants: no smartphones before 14, no social media before 16, phone-free schools, which we as a board are behind, and more childhood independence and free play. So it's, again, thank you parents for taking this as your mission, because we're all behind you.
Thank you. I was able to attend DWAC, and thank you to Keith. We got to hear Keith practice his Spanish. It was awesome, and all the DWAC parents loved it. At DWAC, though, there was a cybersecurity expert guy who is also a very engaging speaker, and I think it would be really something that would be excellent to have at PTA meetings and around everywhere. He was delightful. I would literally love if we could just like tape him also and send parents the information. I feel like it's very accessible the way that he explains it, and also a lot of the things that every single parent needs to know and they may not know. So that was really wonderful. I'm glad that he came to DWAC. I know the parents had requested that. I was wondering, this is a Mr. Trader question. Also on the recommendation, I noticed it said the last item on kind of like the summary, it said, in all cases, no matter what happens kind of related to the banning property, it's suggested to solicit the Coastal Commission for reinstatement of the fence along the property line or some form of wraparound, because the current fence is, dilapidated in some places. And so I just didn't know what do we need to vote on that? I don't know what the process is, or if we can just do that ourselves. I don't know, just something to.
That's something that we would need to petition the Coastal Commission to be able to do.
Okay. Okay, so that'll take another little year. Okay, thank you. And then I wanted to say thank you for a variety of things. Thank you to our superintendent for us finally having our budget study session. I think this was the first time that we have had a study session where the board was able to inform and have conversation and discussion about what our budget priorities are before receiving a completely completed budget. So thank you for that, and all the work that went into the facilities master plan. Lance isn't here, but it was great just to have him here. I know there was so much work that went into that. And I also am grateful too for our TK expansion and all of the efforts. I know that is a huge, heavy lift, and I know with facilities as well, finding space for that is tricky. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank you too for our staff that went out to College Park. I know it was a very urgent, and College Park is a really close community of educators, and so I was so sorry to hear about a staff member passing away, but thank you for our district leaders who went out there to support, including our superintendent. That never would have happened in the past, so thank you very much.
Okay. Well, couple things. First, I attended Arias, which is the dance event or really just a dance performance, I guess would be the term, at Harbor, and it was amazing. Every year they just go above and beyond, and it's just amazing that we have such talent in our schools. But then they have the men's dance team, which is a group of around 15 seniors that dance, and they actually knock it out of the park. Yeah, it's amazing how these, non-dancers go out and learn the moves from these professional style students. So that was great. And then coming up, we have a bunch of open houses. There's one this week for Mariners, and I will be attending. But most importantly, over the last couple weeks, I was able to attend Washington, D.C. With Dr. Smith and Trustees Bartow and Crane. And it was an advocacy trip, and we were able to meet with the Deputy Secretary of Education, the Assistant Secretary of Education, of Special Education and Rehabilitation Services, and representatives for Senator Padilla and Senator Butler and the Special Assistant to the President. we were there to advocate on behalf of our district, kind of tell them a little bit more about, what we do. They really did want to hear about what we're doing in our district and best practices. They did compliment a lot of the things that we are doing, but we were there to advocate for, to avoid cuts to Title I. For the 24-25 budget, and then we advocated again to honor the 1975 commitment to fund 40% of the costs to educate students with special needs per IDEA funding. The federal government's never fully funded more than 18% for special education, and we advocated for them to uphold their pledge to fund. Everyone I think that we met during that time was in agreement of the need to fund more for special education, and then they were really proposing that they don't cut any kind of Title I funding. So I'll give it to Carol to talk a little bit more about what other things we talked about on our DC trip.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to be sitting in front of these very high level rainmakers, really. And so we also advocated against eliminating the E-rate, which is brings critical technology infrastructure funding, like broadband, for example. We advocated for teacher recruitment, retention, and retirement legislation in the form of the Social Security Fairness Act and the Addressing Teachers Shortages Act. And that was actually something that I know the retired NMFT teachers have been advocating for as well. We also advocated for increased support for AI in education and legislative guardrails that allow us to safely include beneficial AI innovations. Because again, AI is coming and we need to make it our friend, but we also have to have protections. And we basically got information from the Deputy Secretary of Education, and now Geneth has it because they've sent it to us, and then we sent it to our ed tech staff, so they're on it too. Just a lot of, we also talked about increased funding for school safety, wellness efforts, students with disabilities who are eligible for vocational rehabilitation, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act called BISCA. That was like a big word that was used a lot when we met with all these high-level staffers. Medicaid reimbursement support, which I think we're going to work on. I know we're actively working on regaining some of that money, so it's going to come back to the district and ways to monopolize on that. And then the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. A lot of high-level. We spent 2 days of just meetings with just, making a difference. And then one thing that actually Dr. Smith added to the whole meeting, conversation is he turned the questions back to them. What do you need from us? And they were flabbergasted because no one ever asked them that question. People go in there and they go, we want this, we want that. But, the way we did is we reversed it and said, what can we do for you? And one of the big ones with the Deputy Department of Education was, we need help spreading the word about FAFSA because we've only funded 40% we've got money that hasn't been claimed because of the whole FAFSA application process that kind of went south. And so we're conducting a campaign here in Newport-Mesa. We said, you can count on Newport-Mesa to get you more FAFSA applications from our students. And this is like a win-win. So that was something that, wow, okay, they're going to remember us because we're going to be helping them as well. So that was wonderful. And the clincher was the fact that the cherry blossoms were gloriously on display. It just were beautiful. Anyway, moving on, I would like to have the staff in all of our district that is interested to save the date for the Newport-Mesa School Foundation Teacher of the Year event. And it's going to be on Wednesday, May 1st at the Oasis Senior Center. And I'm not sure who's emceeing, but possibly Mr. Trader or Mr. Paulson. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I want to definitely do a shout out to Battle of the Bay, our schools, Newport Elementary, Sonora, East Bluff Elementary, Newport Coast, Anderson, and Our Lady Queen of Angels were the 6 schools that participated. a big shout out, Lisa, thank you for recognizing Lindsay Coombe, who is now, has done it for 3 years. A huge coordinated effort on her part. And she's going to be handing off the baton to another East Bluff parent. But thank you, Lindsay, for all the work and also for believing in the kids and also condoning literacy. The kids were having so much fun and they weren't on their cell phones, you're right. A lot of performances from Wizard of Oz, Urinetown, Aries, Little Mermaid, all just amazing talent. Again, kids not using cell phones, enjoying the stage, and I think there are some stars that are being born daily in Newport-Mesa. Appreciated the budget session, robust. We have a lot of heavy lifting coming up, and we just are ready for the challenge. I've been very proud of our team, all the trustees here who are just committed to making Newport-Mesa even better. So thank you for everyone who did put in the work. Happy spring break, everyone. Those of you who can take the time off, to enjoy your families, students. You're working hard. March Madness, you're all hearing, the seniors are hearing from our colleges. Can't wait to see where they're heading. So that's it. Thank you very much, and happy spring break. Hold on. Meeting's adjourned, 9:37.